Chapter 1954. After the golden light entered his body, Knight Sorrow felt that his chi, blood, and energy were running more smoothly. He knew that the origin of the world would not harm the body of Merit, let alone the fact that he was the Merit Emperor. Therefore, he accepted the test of the golden light. As the golden light ran in his body, Knight Sorrow's body shook a few minutes later. He realized that he was no longer the Merit Emperor, but the Merit Emperor. His chi, blood, and energy more or less absorbed the golden light and broke through the critical point of the Merit Emperor. Knight Sorrow felt a joyful emotion that enveloped him. It was the emotion of the origin of the world. Yi Shang was also very happy. Merit cultivation was not easy to come by. Naturally, it was very difficult to increase his merit cultivation. After his trip to the reincarnation battlefield, his merit power had increased by quite a bit. It was just that he had not reached the critical point of becoming a Merit Emperor. But now, he had passed the critical point. Knight Sorrow closed his eyes and accepted the test of the golden light. At the same time, he felt the situation of his merit power. Knight Sorrow did not know that golden lotuses had appeared in the sky above the Heaven Wasteland Tower again. To be exact, they were not lotuses, but lotus platforms. The lotus platforms carried the blooming golden lotuses and floated toward the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. It was extremely beautiful. This situation naturally alarmed everyone in the city. There could only be one reason why the sky was filled with golden lotuses. The cultivator of the merit body had made a new achievement. City Lord, is this the advancement of the Merit Emperor? Pu Luo asked the City Lord, who was looking up at the sky. Yes. Without our knowledge, Knight Sorrow has accumulated a lot of merit for the human race and the 100 races of the celestial realm. The City Lord nodded. What we can see is glory, but how many of us can see the hardships and bitterness behind this glory? The scene of us coming back from Heaven Wasteland with bloody footprints is something that I can never forget, the Great Elder said in a low voice. At this moment, a huge black lotus platform with flames appeared in the sky above the golden lotus and pressed toward it. Black Lotus of Destruction. How can this be? The mayor, the Grand Elder, and the others were shocked and even frightened. Pu Luo's expression also changed. The Great Demon King, Lin Piaomiao, and the others knew that the situation was serious, but they didn't understand what was going on. Pulo, what's going on? Reese asked. In this world, there is yin and yang, black and white, and there is good and evil. The golden lotus of merit corresponds to the black lotus of destruction. Its appearance is to obliterate merit. Pu Luo's eyes were fixed on the black lotus of destruction. At this time, countless virtuous golden lotuses spun, resisting the black lotus of destruction. Hold on, you must hold on. The Grand Elder's beard was trembling because this was his second time seeing the black lotus of destruction. The virtuous golden lotus and the black lotus of destruction continued to clash, but the virtuous golden lotus was at a disadvantage. In the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Knight Sorrow felt uneasy and felt a sense of danger. He couldn't help but shake his body, and his energy began to circulate. As Knight Sorrow's aura increased, a whirlpool appeared above his head. The whirlpool absorbed his merit power and virtuous golden light. He also saw the battle between the virtuous golden lotus and the black lotus in the sky through the whirlpool. Need, desire. This was the feeling that the virtuous golden lotus gave Knight Sorrow. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio. At this time, Knight Sorrow had already forgotten about the certification title. The heavenly way merit was not to be blasphemed. Knight Sorrow was angry. The blood Kirin evil-slaying spear that his doppelganger held appeared in his hand. The merit power gathered and poured into the spear. Then, he waved his right arm violently and the blood Kirin evil-slaying spear flew out of the whirlpool. The onlookers saw a golden red spear appear at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and shoot directly toward the black lotus of destruction. Hold on. The Grand Elder clenched his right hand, and his 5 fingers sank into the shaft of his golden coiling dragon spear. Knight Sorrow's merit is not only a peaceful body of merit, but also a crushing and powerful side. It should be the murderous aura of the human path dragon. The Lord of Heaven Wasteland City put his hand on the Grand Elder's shoulder and said, "The Black Lotus of Destruction has already destroyed one of our human sovereigns. Now it's coming again. Is it endless?" The Grand Elder's beard and hair stood up. It was obvious that he was very emotional. Lin Piaomiao and the others all looked at the Grand Elder. At the end of the last reincarnation cycle, the human sovereign went through the God-destroying tribulation and the Black Lotus of Destruction appeared. The Grand Elder and I saw the Black Lotus of Destruction destroy the human sovereign's body of merit with our own eyes. But don't worry, it's different this time. Night Sorrow is the rising sun. His aura is strong, the Lord of Heaven Wasteland City said to Lin Piaomiao and the others. The Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear spun and kept attacking the Black Lotus of Destruction. The golden lotuses in the sky also spun around the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear, constantly strengthening the spear. This was a battle between good and evil. One side wanted to rise, and the other side wanted to be destroyed. The battle was in a stalemate at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Night Sorrow controlled the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear and kept attacking the Black Lotus of Destruction. Night Sorrow felt that this could not go on. Controlling the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear consumed a lot of his soul power. He could not bear it. But Night Sorrow knew that he had to fight. He knew that this was his destiny. If he could not bear it, neither his original body nor his doppelganger would be spared. Persevere. The Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear and the Black Lotus of Destruction were still in a stalemate. The stalemate lasted for 15 minutes. Yi Shang felt that if this continued, he and the virtuous Golden Lotus would lose without a doubt. He had to fight. No matter how terrifying the Black Lotus with its black flames was, he had to face it. If the tribulation came, he had to face it bravely. Night Sorrow's body followed the whirlpool and rushed out of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Night Sorrow, go back. Inside the Heaven Wasteland Tower, even if you can't beat it, you can still stay alive. The Heaven Wasteland City Lord shouted at Night Sorrow. Since I'm here, I can't hide. If God wants to kill me, I'll kill God. If Heaven wants to destroy me, I'll fight Heaven. Night Sorrow pulled out the Samsara halberd from his back. That's the Samsara Nirvana flame. You can't handle it. The Grand Elder flew into the sky. His heart was filled with fear. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would die. Buzz! An invisible light wave appeared and shook the Grand Elder, causing him to spit out blood and fall to the ground. Night Sorrow, go back. The Grand Elder's white beard was covered in blood. Heaven Wasteland Palm. Night Sorrow threw out a palm and then rushed toward the Black Lotus of Destruction. At the same time, he poured all his power of virtue into the Samsara halberd and stabbed toward the Black Lotus of Destruction. Under the control of the Desolation Nirvana palm, Yi Shang's Samsara halberd pierced the Black Lotus of Destruction. The Black Lotus of Destruction was shaken to the point that it was constantly fluctuating and contracting. It seemed like it could break at any moment. At this time, the Desolation Tower emitted a beam of energy. It was a dragon claw. The dragon claw slammed directly onto the Black Lotus of Destruction, shattering it. Chapter 1955. At this moment, Night Sorrow could not feel the energy in his body. The pain continued to erode his body. He turned to look at Lin Piaomiao with a reluctant smile on his face. He could feel his life force slipping away. The people from the Humanitarian League kept attacking Night Sorrow. However, the barrier created by the tribulation was still there. They could not break through. Even if they were bleeding, they could not break through. The dragon claw created by the Heaven Wasteland Tower collected all the golden lotuses in the sky and Night Sorrow's blood-Chilan evil-slaying spear. Then, it took Night Sorrow's body and disappeared from the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The Samsara halberd fell and stabbed into the ground, making a loud noise. Everything disappeared. There was nothing to prove that the virtuous lotus platform and the Black Lotus of Destruction were here. The city lord rushed into the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He was anxious to know Night Sorrow's situation because Night Sorrow was the human emperor that had not been announced. The group of people reached the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. However, the top floor was sealed. The city lord tried several times but could not open it. Elder Lin, go check on Night Sorrow's clone in the world. Hurry. The Grand Elder was more anxious. GK looks at an original chapter. Lin Piamiao's original body arrived at the Nine Regions world. She saw Night Sorrow lying in front of the Heaven's Ceiling Palace. Beside him was Tai Shu Yen, who was shouting nervously. He was alive. However, there was no energy fluctuation in his body. It was as if he was asleep. When Lin Piamiao was about to check, energy appeared in the Heaven's Ceiling Palace and swept Night Sorrow's body away. Looking at the empty space, Lin Piamiao felt scared. She did not know what was going on. Night Sorrow's original body was in trouble. How could his clone fall as well? Lin Piamiao's clone told the city lord and the Grand Elder about the current situation. She was very worried. He is not dead. His original body is protected by the Heaven Wasteland Tower. His clone is also protected by the Nine Regions world's origin. If he is dead, there is no need to protect him anymore, the city lord said. But what's his situation? Pu Luo was very anxious. There's no need to worry as long as he's not dead. When we see him again, no matter how badly wounded he is, he'll recover even if we have to use all the power of the celestial realm, said the mayor. After sending everyone away, the city lord, the great elder and King Yowu, who had rushed over after hearing the news, all went to Yishang's residence. Then, the mayor told those who didn't know the cause of today's incident. Tian Huang originally belonged to the celestial realm, which was the name given by the Demon Wing clan after they occupied it. The Demon Wings clan came from the Heaven Wasteland domain, also known as Heaven Wasteland. Heaven Wasteland and the celestial realm were both supreme worlds, but that world was very cruel and evil. The origin source was the origin source of destruction. After merging with the heavenly Tao, it would produce the Black Lotus of destruction, which would kill outstanding cultivators who did not conform to the ideals of the Heaven Wasteland domain. At the end of the last reincarnation, when the human emperor of the celestial realm was going through the divine destroying tribulation, the Black Lotus of destruction appeared and destroyed the human emperor's body of merit, causing the human emperor to fail the divine destroying tribulation. We didn't expect Yishang's body of virtue to break through to the virtuous emperor realm. His virtuous power is on the same level as the human emperor of the previous reincarnation, said the city lord. I just checked. Night Sorrow's soul mark in the Samsara halberd is very stable. His life won't be in danger for the time being, King Yowu said with a cold face and a heavy heart. Star Moon City must be guarded. There can't be any mistakes. Everything else needs to be stabilized first, said the mayor. The rumor that Night Sorrow, the Emperor of Merit, was punished by the heavenly Tao had spread in the celestial realm, which made King Yowu very angry. He directly ordered the law enforcement team of the divine capital to patrol the celestial realm and kill anyone who talked about Night Sorrow. As time went by, everything became quiet. The Samsara halberd erected in front of the everlasting tower proved that Night Sorrow had been there. The first army was still the first army without a captain. They trained hard. Every once in a while, Zhuodong would lead the sergeants of the first army to the gate facing the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. What were they doing? They looked at the bloody footprints that were still very clear. Night Sorrow was the body of merit and his blood was the blood of merit. Even though the Nirvana tide was coming, the bloody footprints were still there. Sister Lingling, go and look for it again. I want to see the video of our captain killing the 5 emperors in the imperial realm. Bai Xiaoyu looked at Bai Lingling and said. The Council of Elders has taken back all the memory crystal balls. Even if there are, you can't watch them. You can't do anything that will affect Captain, Zhuodong said as he glared at Bai Xiaoyu. Vice Captain, how many years has it been? When will our captain come back? Will he never come back? Bai Xiaoyu asked. Shut up. Bai Lingling scolded Bai Xiaoyu angrily. She had seen Yishang fight in the second army and went to the reincarnation battlefield with him. Although it was only a short time, she admired Yi Shang and would not allow Bai Xiaoyu to say anything disrespectful. Bai Xiaoyu, this is the first and last time. I will kill anyone who disrespects my 13th brother. Tianyu's eyes were full of ferocity. Sorry, he is not sensible. Bai Mengmeng apologized for Bai Xiaoyu. In the 9 regions world, snowflakes were falling. Xuexi and a young man in white were standing in front of the Danding Cliff in the Medicine Valley, looking at the statue of Night Sorrow. Why are you not coming back? Your child has grown up. Xuexi couldn't stop her tears from flowing down her cheeks. It had been a few hundred years. No one in the 9 regions world had seen Night Sorrow again. The region lord, Night Sorrow, was a legend. A legend that no one had seen in a few hundred years. Mother, father will come back. The formations of the city in the sky and the 9 regions world have always been in a protective state. Only father can control them. The young man in white said. The young man in white was Yi Lingxi, Night Sorrow's youngest son. He was now the king. Yes, your father just fell asleep in the Heaven Wasteland Tower and the Heaven Ceiling Palace. He was too tired all those years. Xuexi wiped the corners of her eyes. The lack of news of Night Sorrow was a big blow to the Yi clan. The city in the sky was no longer full of smiles. Night Sorrow's children were all following their father's path. The most successful one had become an emperor 100 years ago. Aunt, I went to the city in the Heaven Wasteland. Father's divine weapon is still glowing. It's much stronger than before. It means that my father's condition has improved. A young man in black appeared. He was Night Sorrow's 4th child, Yi Xiaoluo, the 2nd emperor of the Yi clan. Yes, have you seen your mother? Xuexi asked Yi Xiaoluo. Yes. Yi Xiaoluo nodded. She still doesn't want to come back? Xuexi asked. Yes, she doesn't want to come back. Maybe she's afraid of seeing the people and things of the past. Yi Xiaoluo sighed. After Night Sorrow's accident, Datura's original body and clone went to the evil Punisher land. They didn't want to go anywhere, nor did they want to return to the city in the sky. 4th brother, I want to join the god-slaying team, but Uncle Long won't accept me. Yi Lingxi said. Let's wait until father comes back. Uncle Long and Uncle Yu only believe father. It's useless for me to say anything. Yi Xiaoluo shook his head. Chapter 1956. Zhang Ziwen unsealed. Other than pain and tiredness, Night Sorrow couldn't feel anything. He couldn't remember how many days and nights he had spent in the darkness. He wanted to rush out, but he couldn't. Night Sorrow didn't even know where the pain came from. He couldn't feel his body as he sank into the endless darkness. The new 8A is the fastest RT on VR Cool Craftsman. Network R. The darkness was filled with violent storms, which contained the extreme power of reincarnation. Night Sorrow didn't know what it was. He had sunk into endless depravity. Unknowingly, he had even grasped the general trend of reincarnation. However, he still couldn't leave this dark space. Night Sorrow struggled in the dark storm every day and could be obliterated by it at any time. Night Sorrow did not know if he could walk out of this place, but he had to persevere. He did not even know why he was persevering. He just wanted to walk out of this place. He felt that he had many things to do. Night Sorrow felt that this was the wrong path. If he didn't deal with the storm of darkness, he wouldn't be able to leave. Perhaps the correct path was to strengthen himself and destroy the storm. No longer moving forward, Night Sorrow absorbed the specks of light in the black storm to strengthen himself. At this moment, an energy body appeared on the top floor of the Tianhuang City Master's training space. World Origin. Greetings, Universe Master. The City Master of Heavenly Wasteland City cupped his hands at the energy body. I'm sure you're all very worried about that young man. I'm here today to tell you that he's been living in a muddle-headed state between life and death for hundreds of years. Now that he's understood his own path, what's next is a true recovery period. I estimate that he'll wake up in a period of time. What I need now is a type of God's soul grass. The God's soul grass is under the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. It's not convenient for me to get it. Find a way to send it to me. The Heaven Realm's origin body said to the heavenly desolate city lord and then disappeared. I'll definitely get the divine soul grass. The mayor pressed his hand, and the table before him was crushed into powder. It had been more than 700 years. This was the best news that the mayor had received in the past 700 years. Locating the soul grasses with the great prophecy technique, the mayor opened the star array of the city. The operation of the great star formation caused a great disturbance. The Grand Elder, Pu Luo, and the others all came to the side of the city master. City Lord, what do you want? Pu Luo asked in confusion. God's soul grass, I need God's soul grass now. With that, the city lord flew out of the city and followed the Nirvana Oceanic Bridge for hundreds of thousands of miles. He was about to reach Infinite Desolate. The mayor finally stopped. He waved his right hand and grabbed a section of the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. The bridge was broken, and the seawater was blown away. A glowing herb that was half a foot tall fell into the mayor's hand. Then, they returned to the Heavenly Wasteland City and went to the Heavenly Wasteland Tower, where the city master was cultivating. The original body of the celestial realm appeared and took away the soul grass. Universe Master, how long will it take for Night Sorrow to wake up? The Grand Elder asked. Within a year. But when he wakes up, he might not have any memory. He'll have to wait for his other doppelganger to wake up. Fortunately, he has the origin bead. His soul was shattered, but it didn't dissipate, the original body of the celestial realm said. It's good that he's alive. It doesn't matter even if his cultivation is destroyed. Reese was relieved. His cultivation is destroyed? Even if you destroy it, he won't. This is a good thing for him. He should have comprehended the general trend of samsara. The reason why he's alive is that he has forbidden energy as a foundation. The original body of the celestial realm then explained Night Sorrow's situation. After the samsara nirvana fire entered his body, all the energy in Night Sorrow's body gathered together to resist the samsara nirvana fire. Under such circumstances, the elements of destruction, time, space, death, and life temporarily combined to resist the samsara nirvana fire. Although it was weak, only a few strands of the samsara nirvana fire entered Night Sorrow's body. It was a fire without energy, so it couldn't destroy the energy in Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow's soul was severely injured, but because of the 9-region origin bead's defense in his spirit sea, his soul was shattered, but the fragments were not lost. He just needed time to reform them. He touched the forbidden energy. If he recovers, won't he have to go through the God-destroying trial? The Grand Elder was worried. That's what you think. He's not even an era old. The Emperor trial and Emperor trial won't appear. The God-destroying trial won't come directly. The original body of the celestial realm then disappeared. Pu Luo, hurry up and inform Elder Lin and Night Sorrow's family, the Grand Elder said to Pu Luo. Pu Luo didn't even answer. He ran directly to the teleportation formation. These years, the Humanitarian League's people still kept in touch, but without Night Sorrow, the Humanitarian League's development had stagnated. Lin Piaomiao only came to Tianhuang City occasionally. She didn't ask about the Humanitarian League. Pu Luo and the Demon King just maintained the current situation. In the Misty Dynasty's Night Moon Villa, Pu Luo saw Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao's face was cold. She had been like this all these years. Pu Luo, you're here. I'm sorry I haven't been in a good mood these years. Lin Piaomiao invited Pu Luo to sit. What are you sorry for? I'm here to tell you the good news. The original body of the celestial realm has appeared. The city master has also obtained the treasure that Night Sorrow needs to recover. Night Sorrow will wake up in a year, Pu Luo said excitedly. Really? Lin Piaomiao's face was full of surprise. She had been waiting for Night Sorrow to wake up, but she always felt that it was just wishful thinking. These years, Lin Piaomiao had been increasing her power like crazy. She had passed the trial of 2 kings, so she understood reincarnation energy and the power of reincarnation nirvana fire. Yes. The Grand Elder asked me to inform you and Knight Soro's family that he will appear in a year, Pu Luo said. We can be together again. We can be like before. Lin Piaomiao wiped the corners of her eyes. 1 year is the time given by the celestial realm. But you have to be prepared. Knight Soro's soul may be blank after he recovers. After all, his soul was damaged and his memory is incomplete. He can only wait until he recovers or his other body wakes up to restore his memory. I don't know the rest, Pu Luo said. It doesn't matter if he loses his memory. Without his memory, he will lose his cultivation, forget his battle skills, and forget how to fight. As long as he's alive, that's enough. Lin Piaomiao's eyes were full of determination. No, he definitely won't. I thought so too at first. But the celestial realm said that even if I'm destroyed, Knight Soro won't be destroyed. And this time, he will make great progress. He may already have forbidden energy. Pu Luo was a little embarrassed because he thought the same as Lin Piaomiao at first. But he was reprimanded by the celestial realm's origin. Search Cool Craftsman on WeChat, follow the name of the new work, and read the full text. Say. Chapter 1957. Zhang Ziwen unsealed. Lin Piaomiao asked someone to receive Pu Luo and she came to the Yellow Springs River. For 700 years, Mandala's original body and avatar had never left the Yellow Springs of Evil Punishing Land. When Lin Piaomiao arrived, the Yellow Springs River parted and Datura appeared. Sister Xian is here. Datura greeted Lin Piaomiao. Stop cultivating. There's news about Knight Soro. You should go back. Lin Piaomiao said. You went to Sky Desolate City? Datura asked. No, it's a notice from Sky Desolate City. Pu Luo received orders from the Grand Elder to inform us that Knight Soro will wake up within a year. I'm not sure about the details. I came to find you to check out the situation. If there's really hope, we'll inform the family. Lin Piaomiao said. Okay, let's go together. Datura nodded. She knew that even if Lin Piaomiao wanted her to leave Evil Punisher, she wouldn't use Knight Soro's matter to lie to her. Lin Piaomiao and Datura arrived at Sky Desolate City. First, they went to Sky Desolate Tower to check on Knight Soro's reincarnation halberd. Currently, checking on Knight Soro's reincarnation halberd was the most effective way to determine his condition. The reincarnation halberd flashed and dimmed. The fluctuations were huge. The situation is much better than before. Although the soul imprint was firm, it didn't have such a huge fluctuation. Lin Piaomiao said and brought Datura to see the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder explained the situation to Lin Piaomiao and Datura. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, 700 years. It's been 700 years since his accident. Lin Piaomiao's voice was choked with emotions. It's my fault. I asked him to accept the certification. That's why this happened. The Grand Elder said apologetically. It's not the Grand Elder's fault. It's Knight Soro's tribulation. As long as he's fine, everything is fine. Lin Piaomiao said. Now, we just have to wait and tell Yishang's parents the news. Not hearing from their child for 700 years is a huge blow to them. Also, his children are still young. It's hard for them to accept that something has happened to their father, said the Great Elder. He knew that Yishang was the pillar of the Yi clan, the pillar of the 9 domains world. The children are doing fine. Although the youngest one has never seen his father, he is already a sovereign king. The 4th one is Aluo's child. He became an emperor 100 years ago. Lin Piaomiao said. To go, Anne and Lin's was. Father can wake up in a year and come back? Yi Xiaoluo asked excitedly. He can wake up, but I don't know if he can come back. Go to Night Moon and inform your grandparents. Datura said to Yishaluo. Datura was worried because Night Sorrow didn't have any memories. He didn't know if he could recognize his family. Night Sorrow didn't know some things, but he knew that the path to becoming stronger was right. He didn't have any memories, but that didn't mean he didn't have any consciousness or thoughts. Night Sorrow felt that the dots of energy in this dark space originally belonged to him, as if they were something he had lost. Recovering, absorbing, and refining. That was Night Sorrow's path. In the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Night Sorrow was lying down. But the energy in his body kept surging. Especially the spirit sea in his head, it kept flashing. The space was filled with energy. The energy had a light blue halo. The Yi family knew that Night Sorrow was fine and would wake up soon. This made the city in the sky boil. It had been suppressed for too long. 700 years. Before Night Sorrow's accident, he was only 200 years old. In the past 700 years, the Nine Regions world didn't develop. Everything was the same as before. Because of safety concerns, Lin Piaomiao didn't let everyone leave the Nine Regions world. The celestial realm was full of danger now. It had been 700 years. No one knew how much Mo Tianji had recovered. In the 700 years under time acceleration, no one could define Mo Tianji's realm. Just like how many kings appeared in the Nine Regions world, Mo Tianji and the new generation of cultivators in the Nine Regions world needed time. Lin Piaomiao and Datura went to Night Sorrow's residence in the Heaven Wasteland City. Every day, they would walk in front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower to check on the Samsara halberd. Night Sorrow had been absorbing the specks of light in the darkness, as well as the faint blue light, to strengthen himself. He didn't know that the dark space was his divine sea, the black storm was the storm caused by the fire of Samsara Nirvana, the stars were his broken soul pieces, and the light blue light was the energy of the god's soul grass brought by the mayor. While absorbing the stars to strengthen himself, Night Sorrow continued to study the storm formed by the Samsara Nirvana flame. As he studied, Night Sorrow found that he could easily avoid the storm. He could even control it. Night Sorrow didn't know that he had mastered the Samsara world. He just thought it was simple. Time passed in this monotonous manner. However, compared to Yishang, his days were much better than before. That kind of pain and tiredness had all disappeared. Night Sorrow's soul was recovering quickly. When the stars and the space were absorbed by Night Sorrow to a certain extent, Night Sorrow understood. He knew that this was his spirit sea and it was absorbing his soul fragments. He also knew the situation outside. Night Sorrow tried to move his body. He felt a little rusty. He hadn't controlled his body for 700 years. Naturally, his body was rusty. But Night Sorrow didn't know this. He didn't even know who he was. Night Sorrow felt that he had a lot of things to do. But he just couldn't remember. Thinking too much made his head hurt. With self-awareness, Night Sorrow's refining speed increased. Not only did he refine the stars and the soul fragments, but he also refined the dark storm. He wanted to purify his spirit sea. Pu Luo came to the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He wanted to use the Samsara halberd to check on Night Sorrow's situation. Pu Luo probed with his soul power, and a wave of fluctuation appeared, knocking him back as he was caught off guard. Self-defense. The weapon can defend itself? Pu Luo's face was full of surprise. This was because Night Sorrow's soul power had recovered to a certain extent. This meant that Night Sorrow could wake up at any time. At the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Night Sorrow opened his eyes and then closed them again. Just now, he felt that someone had touched his things. It made him very uncomfortable. Pu Luo ran to Night Sorrow's mansion and told Lin Piaomiao and Datura about the changes in the Samsara halberd. The weapon can defend itself. That means it has a consciousness. Is he awake? The Grand Elder who was accompanying Lin Piaomiao stood up. Then a group of people went to the Heaven Wasteland Tower to see Night Sorrow's Samsara halberd. In the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Night Sorrow frowned. He felt very uncomfortable. He felt that something was spying on him. He immediately stood up. Search Cool Craftsman Net on WeChat. Follow the name of the new work and read the full text. Say. Chapter 1958. After standing up, Night Sorrow stretched his body and put the blood shield and evil vanquishing spear into the holster on his back. Then, he opened the door to the sealed space and walked out. Night Sorrow flashed out of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and arrived in front of the Samsara halberd. He knew that this was the item that belonged to him. He stretched out his right arm and the Samsara halberd fell into his hand. Night Sorrow. Seeing Night Sorrow, Ruisi was very excited. He reached out and patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. But at that moment, Night Sorrow's body flickered as if he hadn't moved at all. He put some distance between himself and Reese. Then, the Samsara halberd's energy surged. He looked at Reese with two electric lights in his eyes. Alliance Master, I'm Ruisi. I'm Ruisi. Ruisi was stunned. I don't know you. Night Sorrow turned and walked away without looking at anyone else. Night Sorrow, do you know me? Lin Piaomiao flashed and landed in front of Night Sorrow. You are very familiar, but I don't know you. I can't remember. Night Sorrow rubbed his head. He clearly felt that Lin Piaomiao was very familiar, but he just couldn't remember. I'm your wife, Lin Piaomiao. We've been married for a long time. Let's go home, okay? Tears welled up in Lin Piaomiao's eyes. Yishan's robes were torn and his hair was disheveled. Because he had been burned by the Nirvana flame, his boots were gone, just like when he had returned from Heaven Wasteland. Night Sorrow reached out to wipe Lin Piaomiao's tears, but his hands stopped in the air. I think I've been like this before, but I don't remember. Sorry. Come home with us. Datura stood up. Night Sorrow looked at Datura who was blocking the way and hit his forehead with his left hand. You've slept for 700 years. Our child is already an emperor. Today, I'm taking you home. If you don't come with me, you can attack me. You can kill me. Datura reached out and placed the Samsara halberd in front of his chest. Because of the familiar feeling, how could Night Sorrow attack? Grand Elder, call the fortune teller here. Give him some impression so that he can come home with us. Lin Piaomiao shouted to the Grand Elder because this was a better idea. It's time. The fortune teller started the divination. The Grand Elder called the fortune teller and then used Night as a medium, and began the divination. As the divination began. With Night Sorrow as a medium. The divination began, and the images began to rewind. 700 years had passed, returning to the time before Night Sorrow's accident, when Night Sorrow had returned home. Night Sorrow, this is divination. It can't be faked. Everyone at home is waiting for you to return, Datura said as he pulled on Night Sorrow's sleeve. My name is Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow murmured. He felt that the scene was very familiar. It should be a part of his memory. Elder Lin, Datura, take Night Sorrow back to recuperate. Don't force him to remember anything. The soul of the Nine Realms doppelganger was shocked, but it wasn't broken. When his doppelganger wakes up, it will be time for him to recover. You see, he slept for 700 years, but his cultivation didn't fall behind. The mayor walked over from the teleportation array. Okay, if we can wait for him for 700 years, we can continue waiting for his doppelganger to wake up. Lin Piaomiao nodded. Elder Lin, we won't go. He doesn't want to touch too many things now. It's not good to annoy him. When he recovers his memories, I'll hold a banquet to celebrate, Ruisi said. Ruisi, I apologize on behalf of Night Sorrow. He doesn't remember, he doesn't hate you. Lin Piaomiao apologized for Night Sorrow dodging Ruisi's hand and taking out his weapon. We're brothers. Why would we care about that? Ruisi shook his head. Lin Piaomiao and Datura left Sky City with Night Sorrow and walked towards the teleportation array. I don't want to see too many people. Can you find me a quiet place? Night Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao. Sure, we'll go to your favorite city in the sky. Then, we'll take a boat to the lake to recuperate. You don't have to think about recovering. You heard it just now. You have a doppelganger in a deep sleep. When that doppelganger wakes up, he'll remember everything, Lin Piaomiao said. I'm sorry. I know what you said is true. But I don't remember anything, Night Sorrow pointed at his head and said helplessly. In the Night Moon Villa in Ethereal Imperial City, Lin Piaomiao and Datura helped Night Sorrow clean up. Datura's doppelganger first returned to the Nine Regions world and greeted his family. Because Night Sorrow had lost his memories, he rejected everything. Even if he was recognized by divination, his emotions were still blank. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back safely. Yu Qing's eyes were filled with tears. She was a little emotional. Her son was her pride. After not seeing him for hundreds of years, her world had collapsed. It's been hard on everyone. But if we let him come into contact with too many things now, he'll be a burden. You can talk to him when the time is right. Lingxi, I'll find a chance to bring you to meet your father alone. Datura patted Yi Lingxi's shoulder. Yi Lingxi was different from the others. He had no recollection of Night Sorrow at all. Thank you, Aunt Luo. Yi Lingxi bowed. In these 700 years, Datura had not returned. But he had gone to visit him a few times. So, he had some feelings for him. Father, mother, after Night Sorrow returns, Sister Xian, and I want him to spend more time in the lake. His favorite place is the lake. Also, he likes to go to the bamboo forest peak in the Medicine Valley. Datura said to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. All right, you can make the arrangements. It's been hard on you all these years. Home is a safe place at all times. It's not a place of sadness. Your mother and I have always wanted to bring you back. But in consideration of your cultivation, we didn't disturb you. Yi Wuyo said to Datura. Thank you, Father, for your understanding. I understand. Datura was a little embarrassed. Then, Lin Piaomiao and Datura's original body brought Night Sorrow back to the city in the sky. They brought Night Sorrow directly to the lake. This doesn't seem too good. Although I don't remember, there's no reason for me to not visit my parents after returning home. It would be harmful to the two of them. Night Sorrow did not look at the wooden boat in the city in the sky. Instead, he looked in the direction of the mansion. But aren't you not used to it now? Lin Piaomiao said. I am not used to it, and I can't hurt others. Moreover, I can confirm that they are my parents. Night Sorrow finished speaking and walked towards the mansion. Lin Piaomiao and Mandela followed. They understood that even without his memories, Yishan still had his own way of looking at things. He had his own standards. After entering the mansion, Night Sorrow bowed to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. I'm sorry for making father and mother worry. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Yu Qing helped her son up. Original V Premiere E7. Chapter 1959. Don't worry. You don't have to think about it. Sikong Chuyu squatted down to support Night Sorrow. After stabilizing himself, Night Sorrow stood up. I'm sorry. I really can't remember. Give me some time. After speaking, Night Sorrow flashed and left. He couldn't face the current situation. Why most Q new chapter Lin Piaomiao brought Night Sorrow to the lake beside the city in the sky and boarded a wooden boat. This was your favorite place in the past. Fourth brother, Lord Father is giving us a lot of pressure. Yi Lingxi said to Yi Xiaoluo in the mansion. Indeed. Father's aura is much stronger than before. Yi Xiaoluo said. Aren't you the emperor? You always talk about how the second emperor of the Yi clan is. Now you know how much pressure there is? Yi Qingyan said to her brother. Big sister, is there anyone in the world who can compare to father? Don't hurt me. Yi Xiaoluo rubbed his nose. Auntie Luo, what's your cultivation? What's father's cultivation? Yi Qingyan looked at Datura and asked. I'm an emperor, but I can't see your father's cultivation. You can ask your auntie Piao later. Everyone, be careful. Don't casually approach your father. Don't let strangers approach him. If your father goes crazy, the consequences will be severe. Datura didn't want any tragedy to happen. Father used to be very gentle. He won't become like this, right? Yi Xiaolei said. Your father came to the mansion this time because of human relations. He came to visit your parents. Relationship? He has no memory. If someone makes him unhappy or someone he doesn't know approaches. Datura didn't finish his sentence, but everyone understood. Auntie, you're talking about me. Father can still feel familiar with my brothers and sisters. The only person he doesn't know is me. Yi Lingxi said bitterly. If you want to go visit him in the future, I'll take you. Yi Qingyan said with a smile. Knight Soro's return, even without his memories, was a joyous occasion for the Yi clan. Lying on the wooden boat of the city in the sky, Knight Soro rested. He could not bear too much burden on his soul because the soul fragments had just fused together. Lin Piaomiao was in charge of taking care of Knight Soro. Because her cultivation was high, if anyone angered Knight Soro, she would be able to control the situation. In order to reduce the burden on Knight Soro's soul, the others didn't go to see Knight Soro, because no matter who went to Knight Soro, he would think and search for memories. Lin Piaomiao didn't let Knight Soro think about the past, but she often told Knight Soro about the situation in the celestial realm. Without having to think about the past, Knight Soro wouldn't feel tired. In 700 years, the situation in the celestial realm didn't change much, but one force was uprooted, the Flying Serpent Clan. The 100 Races Alliance sent an ultimatum to the Flying Serpent Clan, but the Flying Serpent Clan didn't reply. This infuriated King Yawu, who had been suppressing his anger all this time. He didn't even use the people of the Heavenly Desolate City to wipe out the Flying Serpent Clan. The Flying Serpent Clan no longer existed in the celestial realm. After the Black Dragons received the Golden Dragon King's message, there was no reply, and their whereabouts were unknown. Even divination didn't give a clear result. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air in the celestial realm. At this moment, far away from the Heavenly Desolate City, near the Nirvana Ocean, Mo Tianji looked in the direction of the Heavenly Desolate City with her hands behind her back. Behind her stood Long Zhe. After Mo Tianji recovered from the aftereffects of burning essence blood, she found the Black Dragons. After some discussion and negotiation, the dragons left with her and hid in the Heavenly Desolate. Prepare for war. Once I break through, we will attack Xingyu's city and occupy the 9-domain world, Mo Tianji said to Long Zhe. Sure, but this is equivalent to declaring war with the 100 Races Alliance. Is it worth it? Long Zhe asked. Whether it's worth it or not, I will consider it. Remember what you promised me. Mo Tianji turned around and glanced at Long Zhe. Let's fight. But please don't forget your promise. Long Zhe turned and left. Mo Tianji snorted coldly. She had to borrow the power of the Black Dragons. Otherwise, there would be no place for her in the celestial realm. 700 years in the real world, Mo Tianji recovered from her injuries. However, her cultivation didn't make much progress. Because she burned her essence blood, her body's cultivation potential was damaged. Currently, she was still at the peak of the 8-star Emperor realm. She hadn't entered the 9-star Emperor realm, which was the peak of the Emperor realm. However, Mo Tianji felt that it wouldn't take long for her to enter the 9-star Emperor realm. At that time, she would bring the Black Dragons to take over Xingyu's city and invade the 9-domain world. Then, she would occupy the 9-domain world and make it her territory. Regarding the 9-domain world, Mo Tianji combined the information given by Long Zhe and the results of her investigation. She was sure that the 9-domain world wasn't simple. Night Sorrow sailed the boat on the lake every day. Sometimes, the children would come to drink tea with him. Although he couldn't remember the past, Night Sorrow enjoyed the feeling of being with his children. Among the 5 children, Yi Lingxi and Night Sorrow's relationship grew the fastest. Yi Qingyan, Yi Yujun, and the others all had deep marks in their hearts. Therefore, they always looked back on the past. However, Yi Lingxi didn't. She and Night Sorrow's past was a blank. Even if Night Sorrow had memories, they had to start from nothing. Father, you don't remember Big Brother and Big Sister, but you remember me. After you recover your memories, will you remember Big Brother and Big Sister and then forget about me? Yi Lingxi poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow and said. I don't think so. Actually, some things in my memories can't be erased. Although I can't remember some things from the past, the familiar feeling is still there. Night Sorrow said. That's good. Father, it hasn't been easy for me. When Big Brother and Big Sister were young, they didn't have much time to see you, but you did give them some pointers. However, I didn't even get to see you once. The only thing I saw was the statue on Danding Cliff in the Medicine Valley. I tried to find your shadow in the statue. Yi Lingxi whispered. I'm sorry. Some things really can't be predicted. Originally, I went to get a title, but I didn't get one. I almost died in there. Night Sorrow sighed and patted Yi Lingxi's shoulder. He felt very guilty. As time went on and after a period of recovery, Night Sorrow's soul fragment had completely condensed. He had recovered a lot and could think about some things without any problems. That Mo Tianji hasn't done anything for 700 years. It seems that she's hibernating. She wants to do something ruthless. My memory is still a problem. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Piaomiao and said. Can you feel the 9 realms doppelganger? Lin Piaomiao looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes. Night Sorrow nodded. He could feel it, but he couldn't communicate with it. This was Night Sorrow's current situation. Chapter 1960. Lin Piaomiao took out the memory crystal ball that was once forbidden in Heavenly Desolate City and was still forbidden now. It contained the battle scenes of Yi Shang killing the 5 demon-winged imperial emperors. She often showed it to Yi Shang. That battle contained all the essence of Yi Shang's battle techniques before he became an imperial emperor. However, Night Sorrow still had many techniques that he hadn't learned back then. For example, Mixed Yuan spear art, Ling Tian spear art, etc. All this time, Heavenly Desolate City didn't allow people to see Night Sorrow's battle memory crystal ball. It was the city lord's idea. Too much attention would cause some fate power, which would harm Night Sorrow's soul. Now that Lin Piaomiao showed it to Night Sorrow himself, there was no problem. Lin Piaomiao even found someone to divine some of Night Sorrow's battle scenes for Night Sorrow to familiarize himself with. Night Sorrow's battle strength was slowly recovering. At the same time, he discovered that the life force in his body was very active. The Grand Elder had told Lin Piaomiao about the taboo attribute and taboo energy. Lin Piaomiao also told Night Sorrow about it. Night Sorrow only had one era. After that era, all sorts of calamities would come. 100 billion years should be enough. If I can't endure it, then it's because I'm not capable. At least in these 100 billion years, my world will be wonderful. Hearing Lin Piaomiao's words, Yi Shang smiled. This is only what I learned from the Grand Elder. In fact, no one else knows about your taboo attribute and taboo energy. Lin Piaomiao couldn't help Night Sorrow in this aspect. Looking at Lin Piaomiao, Night Sorrow released his heaven and earth aura. Void, destruction, space-time, death, and even life aura changed in the air. Seeing Night Sorrow's heaven and earth aura change, Lin Piaomiao was shocked. That was because Night Sorrow's situation was different from what she had estimated. Night Sorrow's highest attribute wasn't the void attribute, but the destruction attribute. It had already reached the peak of 80%, the spacetime attribute at 80%, the death attribute at 40%, and the life attribute at 10%. Under normal circumstances, Knight Sorrow's leakless body would naturally restrain his aura. Lin Piaomiao knew that Knight Sorrow was a middle-class emperor, but she didn't expect him to be at the peak of the middle-class emperor rank. He could enter the peak emperor rank at any time. N Forever, are Forever and 6 Red G novels, apart from the void attribute, the rest is made up of the forbidden attribute and the reincarnation attribute? Knight Sorrow said as he retracted the void attribute. He then combined the other attributes. Lin Piaomiao stared blankly at the Knight Sorrow's force of heaven and earth rippling in all directions. Suppression. Even though Knight Sorrow wasn't targeting her, she could still feel the pressure. Even though she was the same as Knight Sorrow and also cultivated the supreme void attribute, she still felt the pressure. Withdrawing the heavenly Tao force, Knight Sorrow waved his left hand and smoothed everything out. How did you cultivate it? Lin Piaomiao didn't expect that after sleeping for 700 years, Knight Sorrow had already grasped the true forbidden attribute of heaven and earth. He was a bit unfamiliar with it, but that was because Knight Sorrow hadn't officially cultivated it. The Black Lotus of Destruction is the reincarnation attribute Nirvana Flames. It charged into my divine sea and tangled with the reincarnation attribute energy for 700 years. After 700 years of struggling between life and death, I naturally comprehended it. Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow didn't remember what happened before the Nirvana reincarnation flames entered his body, but he knew what happened afterwards. Your soul hasn't fully recovered, so don't think too much. It will be too tiring. Lin Piaomiao's heart ached. Knight Sorrow described it casually, but after 700 years of struggle, she could imagine the pain. Lin Piaomiao asked about Knight Sorrow's battle doppelganger. Knight Sorrow's doppelganger was still in his dantian and hadn't woken up. It's been hard on you all these years. Knight Sorrow reached out to comfort Lin Piaomiao, but he couldn't bring his hand down. Aren't you the same? Lin Piaomiao grabbed Knight Sorrow's hand and placed it on her face. As he recuperated, Knight Sorrow's condition got better and better. Looking at the memory crystal ball and listening to Lin Piaomiao's narration, Knight Sorrow's combat ability slowly returned. While cultivating his battle technique, Knight Sorrow also integrated his new domain. This time, he didn't have any scruples and studied the forbidden reincarnation domain. Sometimes, Knight Sorrow would go to the bamboo forest peak to stay for a few days. Gong Xian gave a strict order that no one was allowed to go to the bamboo forest peak. Even he didn't go because he knew about Knight Sorrow's situation. Knight Sorrow's 2 disciples, Ning Yun and July, also didn't go to the bamboo forest peak because Knight Sorrow needed peace and quiet. Only his wives accompanied him. Knight Sorrow, it's actually good that you don't have any memories. Our relationship can start again and we can walk the path of happiness again, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile as he looked at Knight Sorrow, who had finished cultivating his intense spear art. Silly romantic. We brought him back in time. If he fell into someone else's hands, who knows whose man he would become? Yang Lei glanced at Sikong Chuyu and said. That won't happen. 13 isn't that kind of person. Now that he knows we are his wives and our children are already big, he doesn't even dare to hold our hands, Aoi said with a smile. Knight Sorrow just smiled embarrassedly. Although his memories were gone, the sense of familiarity was still there. Sister Xian, can you do me a favor? Knight Sorrow looked at Lin Piaomiao and asked. I told you a few days ago that you don't need to be polite. Just tell me what you need, Lin Piaomiao said. Then, Knight Sorrow told her what he wanted. He wanted books and information about the reincarnation attribute and primordial attribute. Lin Piaomiao's clone went to Desolate City and met the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder brought her to meet the Desolate City's City Lord. After asking about Knight Sorrow's situation, the City Lord nodded and said, show him this book. Now that he has the taboo attribute, he will definitely have to endure the heavenly tribulation after an era. Now that he is working hard to understand and cultivate, he is building his foundation in advance. But you can't. You can't cultivate. The city lord handed a book to Lin Piaomiao and made a request at the same time. Thank you, city lord. After Night Sorrow fully recovers, I will bring him here to thank you. Thank you for your help in finding the medicine, Lin Piaomiao said. Others may not know, but Misty, don't you know? He is the Ren Huang of our 100 Races Alliance. We didn't announce it because we, the old guys, can handle it. We don't want him to feel pressured. Any member of the 100 Races Alliance will do anything for the rise of the Ren Huang, the city lord of Tianhuang City said. The Grand Elder handed Lin Piaomiao a bottle of elixirs. They were elixirs to help with the cultivation of soul power. He hoped that Night Sorrow would recover his memories as soon as possible. Last time, the Black Lotus of Destruction appeared before the certification of the title was completed. The certification of the title hasn't been completed yet. When Night Sorrow has time, he can complete the certification and see what title he has, the city lord said. I'm already traumatized, but I'm also looking forward to seeing what his title is, the Grand Elder said. Chapter 1961. Mo Tianji was in seclusion and was trying to break through to the Peak Emperor realm. As long as she reached the Peak Emperor realm, she was confident that only a limited number of people in the 100 Race Alliance could threaten her. Ordinary sect elders would die if they went against her because she was in the 7th Emperor Calamity realm. Night Sorrow's world was very simple. A world without memories meant that there were no troubles. He focused on the reincarnation attribute and the reincarnation heaven and earth trend. Lin Piaomiao didn't let Night Sorrow study the origin attribute because there were too many variables. Once he grasped two forbidden attributes, it was hard to say what the heavenly Tao's judgment would be. She was afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow could understand and respect Lin Piaomiao and the others' wishes. He couldn't disrespect them. If she didn't let him study, he wouldn't study. Would he be angry? Either he would beat her up or he would listen obediently. How could Night Sorrow hurt Lin Piaomiao and the others? He couldn't bear to. Ignoring the familiarity in his memories, he could feel the affection and care from the girls. Every day was peaceful and Night Sorrow felt very good. The other 9 domain origin bodies appeared and communicated with Night Sorrow. When the Samsara Nirvana flame had attacked, the 9 domain origins had been shaken to the point of losing consciousness. However, they had instinctively protected Yi Shang's soul, so even though Yi Shang's soul had been shattered, the fragments were still intact. After the 9 domain origin bodies woke up, they immediately protected Night Sorrow's clones. As for when the 9 domain clones would wake up, the 9 domain origin bodies told Night Sorrow that once his main body's soul was complete, he would be able to wake up the clones that were in self-defense mode. Night Sorrow was confident. Furthermore, he was assured that when the clones woke up, the main body would absorb the memories of the clones. However, the main body's memories wouldn't disappear. This was one of Night Sorrow's worries. If the main body's memories were to disappear, the reincarnation heaven and earth trend that he worked so hard to comprehend would be gone. Look at the original chapter. BV. On the other hand, Night Sorrow didn't want to lose his relationship with his wives. After all, it was the most precious part of his life. Taking the soul-replenishing pills from the Grand Elder, Night Sorrow cultivated every day. However, he didn't use the time acceleration treasure as he didn't want to leave his current life. The 9 domain world started developing again. This shocked many people. Night Sorrow had disappeared for 700 years and the 9 domain world was silent for 700 years. Now that the 9 domain world had returned to its original development path, it meant that Night Sorrow was about to appear, so. Of course, no one was allowed to enter. Yi Shang cultivated without any distractions. He had fused a new domain. It was the reincarnation domain. With the power of merit, it was extremely powerful. Not to mention the strength of the domain, just the aura was unbearable for Xueshi and the others. Over the past 700 years, the Night family had worked very hard. Night Sorrow's wife was at the low stage king realm. Night Sorrow's fighting strength was changing every day. His innate physique was the ethereal body and had high compatibility with various attributes. His cultivation was much easier. However, he couldn't increase his cultivation because he was at the middle stage emperor rank bottleneck. If he didn't break through, his cultivation wouldn't be able to increase. Realms limited cultivation. This was the rule of cultivation. Lin Piaomiao and the others tried to persuade Night Sorrow to go into seclusion. However, Night Sorrow didn't go. He wasn't in a hurry and just wanted to spend more time with his family. A few days ago, through the conversations of the women, he knew that he was always in seclusion and neglected his wife. Lin Piaomiao and the others didn't say anything about Night Sorrow's decision. They didn't understand Night Sorrow's world. It was hard for a person with no memories to understand. 13. Weren't you a cultivation maniac? If you had any time, you would use it to increase your strength. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Because of that, I lost a lot of opportunities to spend time with you. I won't do it again. Night Sorrow said as he chopped wood and boiled water. Did you remember something? Lin Piaomiao looked and asked. There was a moment when I was hit by the reincarnation nirvana fire. I remembered that moment. Back then, I felt very regretful and unwilling. On the path of life, it's right to move towards your goal, but you can't miss the scenery along the way. Night Sorrow said. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Lin Piaomiao and the others knew that after this incident, Night Sorrow's attitude towards life might change. Night Sorrow felt that he was in a good state and could accept some things. After that, he left the bamboo forest peak and returned to the city in the sky. Sometimes, he would accompany his parents and sometimes, he would accompany his children. As for the situation outside, Night Sorrow wasn't worried. In the past, he felt that he had to work hard. But now, he felt that his previous thinking was right, but he had neglected his family. As the Merit Emperor, he had to be responsible for the billions of creatures in the world. But the premise was that he had to take good care of his family. His family was also a part of the billions of creatures. Night Sorrow's change also affected his family. They didn't go out much. On this day, Yi Yujun brought back a girl. She was the little princess of the Sword Dynasty, a top force in the Xuanhuan Great World. Night Sorrow didn't ask about his children's relationships. But he made a request for his 5 children. That was, the other party had to be the king. Why? Night Sorrow didn't look down on low-level practitioners, nor was it because of some sectarian bias. He just didn't want his children's other half to die because of a lack of lifespan. That would make his children sad. Yi Qinyan and the others naturally understood Night Sorrow's intention. They all understood Night Sorrow's painstaking efforts. Father, when you're all better, you can go and propose marriage for me. Yi Yujun said. You're so useless. Do you have to go to father for such a trivial matter? Yi Qinyan glanced at her brother. They said that the genius disciples of the family can't marry outside. I went to propose marriage but was rejected. I was kicked out. Yi Yujun said. Do they know your identity and cultivation? Sikong Chuyu looked at his son and asked. No. Father, didn't you say that I shouldn't show off outside and should rely on myself for everything? Yi Yujun said in a low voice. Does Zine know? Sikong Chuyu glanced at the girl beside his son and asked. I don't know. Zine didn't ask me either. Yi Yujun held the girl's hand and shook his head. Zine, I'm sorry. This guy's brain doesn't seem right. Yi Qinyan pulled Qin Zine, who was in a daze, and said. Qin Zine was a high-level heaven monarch of the Sword Dynasty. She was young and was a prodigy of the Black-Yellow Great World. She met Yi Yujun in the world of reincarnation, and they became good friends after a fight. Then, they talked about marriage. She believed that Yi Yujun's background was clean, so she didn't ask him in detail. Yi Yujun was sunny, kind, and had a strong gentleman's style. This time, Qin Zine was forced by Yi Yujun to meet his parents. But when she arrived at the city in the sky, she found that there were several martial emperors whose cultivation she couldn't see clearly. She said. Chapter 1962. Second brother, didn't you say that your surname is Yi? We don't need the surname Yi to scare people, but we can't let people look down on us, right? Yi Xiaolei said. I did say that. Her grandfather said that even the surname Yi is not allowed. Unless Night Sorrow comes to propose, Yi Yujun said softly. Yi Shang is proposing marriage? Alright, I'll take care of it. Zine, stay in this city in the sky for a few days. My body hasn't been very good recently, and I need to rest, Night Sorrow said to Qin Zine. Thank you for your hospitality, uncle. Uncle's body isn't feeling well, so please rest for a while. Qin Zine bowed to Night Sorrow. She wasn't stupid. She knew about the 9-domain world. There was only one family in the 9-domain world where kings and emperors' clans were everywhere. It's nothing. I just slept for a few more years, and my body is weak. Listen up, I didn't ask you to do anything about our Yi clan's traditions. You've all done well. What did I work so hard for in the past few years? It was so that the people of the 9-domain world, the children of the Yi clan, wouldn't be inferior to anyone. Is it wrong to be born in the Yi clan? I'm too lazy to go and look at people's faces. Chu Yu, inform the Sword Dynasty that Zine is in our 9-domain world. If they want her, they can come here themselves. Night Sorrow said and landed on the wooden boat on the lake. Mother, I didn't do things properly, and made father angry, Yi Yujun said apologetically. Haha. It's nothing. In fact, no matter what family tradition or rules, in your father's eyes, it's not as important as your happiness. Alright, Zine still isn't used to it. Bring her around. Sikong Chuyu patted her son's shoulder and said. Yi Yujun pulled Qin Zine and left for Night Moon City. He was still thinking about Night Sorrow's words. Yujun, why didn't you say this when you went to propose? No matter how snobbish my grandpa is, he won't offend the Yi family, Qin Zine said to Yi Yujun. She didn't blame Yi Yujun, but she found it unbelievable. Back then, when the Sword Dynasty was proposing marriage, his grandfather's words were very unpleasant and even insulting. However, Yi Yujun did not say anything else. In the Yi family, us brothers and sisters have never used the Yi family or father's name to do anything. Father is father. Father's reputation was not easy to come by. We can't ruin it. Isn't it shameful to have to use your father's name to get a wife? Of course, it's still the same in the end. Yi Yujun said with a smile. Knowing about the Yi clan, Qin Zine pondered for a moment before saying, it's not hard to get in touch with your family. Yes, eldest sister's words are the most venomous, but she loves the four of us the most. Third sister is the most talkative and is the happiest person in the Yi clan. Fourth brother Yi is the best at acting and is the most courageous. However, he has the capital and is the second emperor of the Yi clan. For the sake of the Yi clan, he is willing to risk everything. Fifth brother Yi is more introverted because before this period of time, he has never seen his father in the 700 years since he was born, Yi Yujun said. What's going on? The domain master's reputation in the primal chaos realm was soaring. He was also an overlord in the celestial realm. Later on, there was no news of him and the transmission array to the celestial realm was closed, Qin Zine said. All this time, the problem with Night Sorrow had been a secret. Whether it was in the celestial realm or the 9-domain world, no one mentioned it. Qin Zine naturally didn't know either. However, she was about the same age as Yi Yujun and naturally knew about the Night Sorrow of that era. Father was attacked by the virtuous emperor's calamity, the Black Lotus of Destruction, and fell into a deep sleep for 700 years. He only woke up in the last year. In the past, us brothers and sisters in the Yi clan knew not to look for mother or aunt if there were any problems because father's wives were very strict. Instead, we looked for father to solve everything. However, now, Yi Yujun was very sad. In his heart, father was a huge mountain. It was the same now. However, because father had no memories, there were many things that he didn't dare to say or mention. Night Sorrow sailed the boat in the lake and no one disturbed him. Now, even Lin Piaomiao didn't follow him. Because even without his memories, Night Sorrow could take care of himself normally. During dinner, Yi Yujun and Qin Xin calculated the time to go back. This made Qin Xin very puzzled. Looking at the large round table in the mansion and the scene of everyone in the Yi clan except for Night Sorrow, Qin Xin was a little stunned. There are more and more people. In the future, people will marry and get married. How long can this Yi clan custom last? Yu Qing looked around and said. Grandma, grandson will get a large table later. It's more convenient, Yi Yujun said. No need. You've all grown up. Can you stay here forever? We won't force it. Anyway, when your father has nothing to do, he will always be with us, Yu Qing said. Yi Huio ate and didn't say anything. Because the Yi clan was developing, it was normal for them to have more children. How could they live together forever? Sikong Chuyu sent a letter to the Sword Dynasty in the Xuanhuan Great World. It was signed by Night Sorrow. After reading the letter and sending the messenger from the 9 regions world away, Qin Shanga was a little dumbfounded. He didn't expect to meet someone with the surname Yi, who was Night Sorrow's son. The letter was very clear. The 9 regions world Sky City would keep Qin Xin as a guest. In the letter, Sikong Chuyu wrote in Night Sorrow's tone that he wasn't feeling well recently. When he was free, he would go and ask for her hand in marriage. If he felt that it was inappropriate, he could go and pick her up. Pick her up? Qin Shanga knew that he couldn't. The tone of the letter wasn't very good. Qin Shanga could understand. At that time, he had insulted Yi Yujun. It was normal for the Yi clan's letter to be bad. Qin Shanga had no choice but to find the Sea King Palace's master and tell him about this. Hey! Don't you know that you shouldn't bully a young man because he is poor? Of course, some people follow the trend and use the surname Yi. However, the Yi clan of the 9 regions world is the most promising. Their son is well-mannered. He didn't say anything after being scolded, but his father and mother couldn't take it lying down. After knowing the whole story, the Sea King Palace's master sighed. Since they were all from the Xuanhuan Great World, the Sea King Palace's master couldn't ignore it. He took Qin Shanga to Xingyu's city to find Tang Jianfeng. Above, how do you want to meet him? The domain lord had some problems a few years ago. He just recovered recently. The domain lord's wife told us, who are guarding the teleportation array between Xingyu's city and the 9 regions world, that the Sky City won't be receiving anyone recently. Tang Jianfeng was speechless. The chaotic realm and the celestial realm couldn't wait to be relatives with the Yi clan. The only one who wouldn't be polite was probably Qin Shanga. Night Sorrow lay on the wooden boat and drifted with the waves. His soul power was constantly communicating with his 9 regions world clone. He could contact them but couldn't wake them up. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow left the lake in a flash and returned to the Sky City. Then, he took the teleportation array and arrived at the 9 regions world. He felt that communication wouldn't work. Then, he would try using his soul power face to face. The guards guarding the teleportation array bowed and greeted Night Sorrow when they saw him. Night Sorrow nodded and entered the heaven-sealing Great Hall. At this time, his 9 regions world clone was lying in the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Chapter 1963. Night Sorrow's soul power was blocked when it entered the doppelganger's deity sea. That was the doppelganger's instinctive defense. However, because the soul power came from the same source, this defense and obstruction only appeared for a moment and was ineffective. After probing, Night Sorrow realized that the doppelganger's deity sea was still. There were no fluctuations. To put it bluntly, it was a living dead. Night Sorrow's soul power circulated and drove the doppelganger's deity sea to circulate. He tried to wake the doppelganger up. Night Sorrow still had a battle doppelganger in his dantian. However, that doppelganger was severely injured like the original body. It had no memories like the original body. Now, only the 9-domain world doppelganger would be able to remember everything. Following Night Sorrow's soul power, the doppelganger's deity C started to circulate. When the 9-domain world doppelganger's deity C started to circulate, some images were transmitted to Night Sorrow's original body. From hunting the black-scaled beast in Bamboo Garden Village, to hunting the undead creatures in the dark space, to the wedding night with Sikong Chuyu, all these scenes appeared in Night Sorrow's deity C. Lin Piaomiao and the rest knew that Night Sorrow had arrived at the Heaven's Sealing Hall and followed him. It wasn't that they were worried. They wanted to let Night Sorrow know that no matter what, they would always be by his side. Taking out the Clear Sky Pagoda, Night Sorrow's soul power wrapped around the doppelganger and entered the Clear Sky Pagoda. In the 50-fold time acceleration, the doppelganger's deity C started to circulate. Lin Piaomiao and the rest waited outside. Night Sorrow woke up the doppelganger in the time acceleration. If an ordinary person could live a normal life, they might not value their memories that much. However, Night Sorrow didn't see it that way. Having the past was a perfect life. For some cultivation techniques, what one comprehended now was different from what one comprehended in the past. Tang Jianfeng had no choice. He was the representative of the Xianhuang world. Qin Shanga had offended the Night Clan, so he had to deal with this matter. Tang Jianfeng brought Qin Shanga to the 9-domain world through the teleportation array. When they exited the array, they saw Lin Piaomiao and the rest. Seeing Lin Piaomiao and the others, Tang Jianfeng apologized. Qin Shanga also apologized. It's not a big deal. It's just that your attitude isn't right. Our Yi clan's disciples do things properly and according to etiquette. Why were you chased out? Sikong Chuyu felt indignant for his son. This is my fault. That is why I am here today to apologize, Qin Shanga said. There's no need for an apology. Our Yi clan wants to marry Xin as our daughter-in-law. If we embarrass you, she will also feel uncomfortable. We don't care about your Qin family. We have to consider the feelings of the Yi family's daughter-in-law. Let's forget about this matter. Also, we'll see when we can arrange the marriage of the two children. As for letting the children's father propose, he's currently recuperating in the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. If you insist on letting him go, then you'll have to wait. Sikong Chuyu looked at Qin Shanga and said. At this time, Tang Jianfeng and the Sea King Manor's Lord looked at Qin Shanga. If Qin Shanga still didn't understand the situation and said that he wanted to wait for Night Sorrow to propose, then they would apologize to Sikong Chuyu and the others and leave. There's no need for that. Let Xian's parents come to the 9-domain world to discuss this matter later. Qin Shanga was very understanding this time. Since the Yi clan had made their stand, how could he not accept it? This made Yi Yujun and Qin Xian, who had also come to accompany their mother, very happy. Qin Xian heard Sikong Chuyu's words and felt a little emotional. The Yi clan didn't care about the Qin clan. They didn't embarrass the Qin clan because they didn't want to embarrass her. Recently, Night Sorrow has been a little problematic. We don't have time to entertain him. Yujun, bring the guests around and entertain them. Sikong Chuyu spoke the truth. She wasn't in the mood to entertain guests. The people in front of the Heaven Sealing Great Hall had all left. Only Night Sorrow's wives were left. Update 1. They weren't worried when Night Sorrow entered the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. They were just hoping that when Night Sorrow came out, he would see them. Night Sorrow woke up his doppelganger under the 50-fold time acceleration. The doppelganger's soul memory gradually merged with the main body. 4 days later, Night Sorrow came out. Under the time acceleration, the main body's soul power drove the doppelganger's soul power to operate for more than half a year. Currently, the doppelganger's soul could operate on its own. It was only a matter of time before it woke up. Seeing Night Sorrow come out, the women who were originally sitting cross-legged stood up. Night Sorrow walked forward and gave each of them a hug. Night Sorrow, you've recovered? Sekom Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow with a face full of surprise. During these days, although Night Sorrow knew who he was, he didn't have any intimate actions with anyone. He didn't even hold hands with his wives. Now that he took the initiative to hug, it meant that he remembered everything from the past. Yes. After coming into contact with the doppelganger's soul, I've already obtained all the past memories. 700 years, I've made you guys suffer in the 700 years I wasn't here. Night Sorrow said apologetically. It's nothing. It's good that you've recovered. She looked at Night Sorrow and said. It's been hard on that child Lingxi. Night Sorrow looked at Shi. He was the most apologetic towards Shi and her mother. The few of them returned to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow accompanied his parents and Father Gu to talk. During these years, his parents and Father Gu had suffered a lot. He was Father Gu's adopted son and was his everything. At night, Night Sorrow went to the lake in the city in the sky to cultivate. Now that his memories had returned, his past battle experience and recent comprehension had to be combined. Peak middle-class Emperor rank. He could enter peak Emperor rank at any time. The increase in realm was his harvest from the 700 years of sleep. Of course, the biggest harvest was the control of reincarnation heaven and earth. However, the level was still rather low, only around 50%. Reincarnation heaven and earth momentum was only around 50%, but the domain it formed could suppress an emperor's domain. The energy in Night Sorrow's body could exist alone or fuse into forbidden energy. Night Sorrow didn't want to go out as he wanted to stay with his family. However, Lin Piaomiao meant that Night Sorrow should go out for a walk because the Desolation City Lord, King Yowu, and the Grand Elder were all worried about him. Other than that, the brothers in the God-slaying team were all worried about him. The soldiers in the First Army were the same. The people in the Humanitarian League were also waiting for his return. Go. Everything is fine at home. There's nothing to worry about. You've slept for 700 years and there are many people who care about you. You have to go take a look. Yi Wuyo said. After spending another 2 days with his family, Night Sorrow, Lin Piaomiao, Datura, and the clones of his wives all left the 9 regions world. Other than Lin Piaomiao, the others were all members of the God-slaying team. Night Sorrow had slept for 700 years while the God-slaying team had fought in the celestial realm for 700 years. They already had a decent reputation. The lowest cultivation in the God-slaying team was the king and the highest was the emperor rank. There were also emperors and emperors. Which faction could stop such a combination? The God-slaying team's base was the Night Moon Villa in the Misty Dynasty. Last time when Night Sorrow returned, they didn't see Night Sorrow because they didn't want to increase the pressure on Night Sorrow's soul. This time, when Night Sorrow returned, the God-slaying team gathered because they knew that Night Sorrow's situation had improved. Chapter 1964. 13th Brother. The days when you weren't around were very boring. There was no excitement in life, Tianyu said. What I'm concerned about now is how's your peng technique going? Night Sorrow looked at Tianyu and asked. It's done, Tianyu said softly. Okay, I'll go out and make arrangements for you, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After sleeping for 700 years, my cultivation didn't fall behind and even improved greatly. Other than Captain, no one else would dare to think about it, Long Jin said with a smile. Long Jin and Tianyu were members of the First Army, but their clones were there. Their true bodies were sometimes in the God-slaying team and sometimes in their families. Their cultivation had improved a lot over the years. Long Jin was already an emperor, and Tianyu was a peak emperor who could become an emperor at any time. Blood Emperor Zhu Tan was a 3-star emperor, which was very rare. A few members of the God-slaying team had also reached rank 9. Liang Yu and Yun Huang, whom Night Sorrow thought the most highly of, were already emperors, and so was Qin Zhen. The others were either heaven monarchs or monarchs. Brothers, you're all doing well. I'm relieved. I've slept for 700 years and left you guys for 700 years. I'm very sorry. Tonight, I'll drink with you guys as an apology, Night Sorrow said. 700 years. After spending 700 years in the real world, the god-slaying team's cultivation had improved. They could now establish a foothold in the celestial realm and had made a name for themselves. Night Sorrow called Wufeng, Tsang Ning, Lin Qixing, and the others over. They were friends in the past and in the future. Captain, we have a temporary member in the team. Without you, we didn't officially accept him, Long Jean said before drinking. It's fine as long as you approve. Is he not here? Night Sorrow looked around and didn't see any unfamiliar faces. Then, Tianyu left Night Moon Villa and went to Night Sorrow's first residence, which was the current stronghold in the primal chaos realm, to pick up a man. The man was wearing black battle clothes and had a battle blade on his back. Blood Knife greets the region lord. The man bowed to Night Sorrow. Blood Blade. Night Sorrow muttered. Captain, you should know the former Lord Blood Blade of the Chaos Domain, Liang Yu said. Understood. One of the two most outstanding cultivators in the primal chaos realm. Night Sorrow nodded at Blood Knife. In the past, in the primal chaos domain, there were two masters, Human Sovereign and Blood Knife, but later, they disappeared. Night Sorrow did not expect to see Blood Knife here. Young master, he is my master, Ji Dao said. Very good. From now on, you can live with everyone. There is no need to live outside. By the way, where is the human sovereign of our chaotic realm? After making the arrangements, Night Sorrow asked. He died. Back then, the two of us came to the celestial realm together. We were determined to become emperors and break the shackles of the world of reincarnation. We went to the Heavens Vault tribe and cultivated in front of the Heavens Vault cliff. Later, the Heavens Vault tribe tried to recruit us. We were unwilling, so they attacked us. He was killed, and I was seriously injured. Later, I escaped to the tribe where Ji Dao was and have been recuperating. It was probably after the region lord appeared. Some shackles were broken, and my luck changed. I successfully took this step. After achieving success, the first thing I wanted to do was to go home. Later, I found out about Xingyu's city and got to know everyone, Blood Knife said. Back then, he and the human sovereign fought for the Haotian godly pagoda, and both of them were injured. Neither of them got the Haotian godly pagoda when it was broken. Because of this battle, they became friends. Heaven's Vault tribe, Heaven's Vault high priest. It seems that he has to give an explanation, Yunhuang said. Who can say for sure what's going on in the world? Although the Heaven Vault high priest's methods can strengthen the Heaven Vault tribe, his methods are too intense. Sometimes, it will cause trouble. Back then, I was almost killed by them. Let's talk about this later. Blood Knife, it hasn't been easy for you to wander outside for so many years. In the future, the god-slaying team will be your home. Welcome back. Night Sorrow extended his hand to Blood Knife. After fooling around with his brothers for a night, Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao teleported to the Divine Capital. They could only go to the Divine Capital after teleporting to the Divine Capital. Moreover, Night Sorrow also had to go to the Divine Capital first because he wanted to visit King Yiwu. Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao arrived at the Humanitarian League's headquarters first. Seeing Night Sorrow, Jun Xuanji cried. They had the deepest friendship. Jun Xuanji was very sad that Night Sorrow had encountered an accident. Okay, I'm fine now. You are already a heavenly lord. You just need to take another step and you will become an emperor, Night Sorrow sat down and said with a smile. If I become an emperor, I might have to face some things. I really don't want to make any mistakes, Jun Xuanji said. You are Jun Xuanji, forever Jun Xuanji. I believe in you. You will take care of everything, Night Sorrow said. Okay. Previous lives have nothing to do with me. I am Jun Xuanji, Night Sorrow's best strategist, Jun Xuanji said. That's too emotional. At this time, a blonde woman entered the Humanitarian League's headquarters. Zhu Jiuyun. When did you come to the Humanitarian League? Night Sorrow was stunned. I came a long time ago. If you don't care about Sister Xuanji, I will. Zhu Jiuyun sat down and said. What are you talking about? Didn't I have some problems? What do you mean by we don't care? Yi Shang glared at Zhu Jiuyun. At this moment, Zhu Jiuyun was a heaven monarch like Jun Xuanji. They were once the most outstanding people in their respective fields. With the help of the great era of the 9 domains world, they had made some achievements. Where is your golden horn? Night Sorrow looked at Zhu Jiuyun and asked. Don't talk nonsense. Isn't it looking for trouble if you go out with your golden horn? I have already changed my energy and kept it. Don't mention it. It's too scary. Zhu Jiuyun gestured for him to keep quiet. Everything was fine. Night Sorrow was more at ease. He then brought Lin Piaomiao to Yaowu Mountain. When Night Sorrow appeared, the people of the city lord's mansion bowed to greet him. Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao reached the peak of Yaowu Mountain. King Yaowu was already waiting for them with a smile. Greetings, Martial Uncle. Night Sorrow bowed to King Yaowu. Your spirit is good. Have you fully recovered? King Yaowu pointed to his head and asked about his memory. Night Sorrow nodded and said that he had fully recovered. You didn't sleep for 700 years for nothing. You were able to raise your cultivation level by almost 2 levels. You are more effective than others. The most valuable thing is that you have comprehended the reincarnation of heaven and earth. You have the forbidden energy. King Yaowu was very happy to see that Night Sorrow was doing well. He was very worried at that time. I have made Martial Uncle worry all these years. Night Sorrow sat opposite King Yaowu and started brewing tea. You're as skilled at making tea as you were in the past. You're back. You're really back. I'm very relieved. When will you go for the certification? Looking at Yi Shang, who was making tea, King Yaowu changed the subject. Chapter 1965. Martial Uncle, this disciple's tolerance is still okay. Normal people would be traumatized after what happened last time. Night Sorrow smiled and said. You won't because you are Night Sorrow. King Yaowu was stunned for a moment before smiling. In the past, no one would talk to him like this because Fan Tian was very rigid. However, he felt that this kind of chatting was true communication. Night Sorrow and King Yaowu chatted for a while and rested in the thatched cottage on Yaowu Mountain for a night. Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao had to leave because there were still many things to do in Heaven Desolate City. King Yaowu sent Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao out of Yaowu Mountain. He told Night Sorrow that one of his clones was still in Heaven Desolate City and that he could look for him if he needed anything. Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao teleported towards Heaven Desolate City. It could be said that it was the last stop of this trip because Night Sorrow planned to cultivate in Heaven Desolate City and try to break through to 9-star Emperor, which was peak Emperor rank. Night Sorrow had thought about this problem before. He felt that the Nirvana tide contained a very complex and diverse heaven and earth momentum, which was more suitable for him. After coming out of the teleportation array, Night Sorrow first went to the Heaven Desolate Tower and bowed. He knew that at the final moment last time, it was the Celestial Realm's origin that destroyed the Black Lotus of Destruction. He wanted to thank the Celestial Realm's origin for saving his life. If you have time, come to the certification space and see this sovereign. The Celestial Realm's origin's voice echoed in Night Sorrow's divine sea. Soon after, Night Sorrow went to the small spatial world of the Grand Elder's tower. In the small spatial world, he saw the Grand Elder and Heaven Desolate City Lord playing chess. You're back. The Grand Elder pointed at the praying mat on the side to Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao. I'm back. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew how much the Grand Elder cared about his safety at that time. The Grand Elder had been knocked back several times by the energy of the heavenly tribulation and had been injured to the point of vomiting blood. You can go for the title certification later. Let's see if there's anything that can stop you from getting a title. The Grand Elder placed the chess piece down heavily. Knight Sorrow didn't say anything. It was difficult to get a title, so he had to get one. He wasn't the only one who insisted on this. King Yowu and the Grand Elder also thought the same. Not bad at all. The new human emperor is really tough. Tran Hung, who had no energy to protect herself, said with a smile. Didn't the human sovereign also fall in the last reincarnation? Knight Sorrow said in a low voice. It's not the same. Their luck is different. The human sovereign in the last reincarnation lived for several eras and was in his twilight years. However, you've just risen. You're like the sun rising from the east. Your luck is flourishing. It's completely different, the mayor said. Then Knight Sorrow understands. After hearing the mayor's explanation, Knight Sorrow understood. After sitting for a while, Knight Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao left. They came to pay respect to the ancestors. They weren't used to sitting here. When they returned to the mansion, the people from the Humanitarian League were all there. Seeing Reese, Knight Sorrow walked over and hugged him. I'm sorry about what happened last time. I just woke up and didn't know anything, so I was quite alert. What are you talking about? Would I stoop to the level of an idiot? Reese laughed and threw out a sentence that made Knight Sorrow and the others speechless. However, Reese was right. At that time, Knight Sorrow was actually an idiot. Then, Knight Sorrow hugged Pu Luo, the great demon king, and Fen Tian. They hadn't been together for 700 years, but their brotherhood was still there. Knight Sorrow hesitated in front of Yu Zhu. She was a woman. It wasn't appropriate to hug her. However, Yu Zhu generously hugged Knight Sorrow. It's not like you to be so hesitant. When you weren't around, we lacked passion. Our Humanitarian League's gold bricks are about to rust. This means that our 100 Races Alliance's moral level is rising very quickly. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so idle. Knight Sorrow smiled. He knew the people from the Humanitarian League. They were all hot-tempered and hated evil. After sitting down, everyone talked about the situation in the past 700 years. Without Knight Sorrow, the Humanitarian League had lost its core. Everything was as dull as water. I think this dullness won't last long. It's been 700 years. That Mo Tianji is probably almost done with her preparations and is about to jump out. This time, she won't be as easy to deal with as before. She might even be a peak emperor. With a peak emperor's cultivation and her realm, she will be very difficult to deal with. Also, the disappearance of the black dragons might be related to her. Knight Sorrow shared his opinion. Pu Luo and the others nodded. They knew Knight Sorrow's analysis was reasonable. Mo Tianji wouldn't give up on the original body. Alliance Master, why don't we just destroy her body and be done with it? Let her not even think about it. Yu Zhu said. I've thought about it before. However, a Mo Tianji without thoughts is not easy to catch. If we give her thoughts, she won't be able to let go. Even if she knows it's a trap, she will still jump in. Knight Sorrow said. Yu Zhu and the others gave Knight Sorrow a thumbs up. The original body was a huge temptation to Mo Tianji. It was a temptation that couldn't be ignored. Alliance Master, go take a look at the first army. But come back tonight. We'll drink until we're drunk. Pu Luo said to Knight Sorrow. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Knight Sorrow nodded. He had to go take a look at the first army. If it was suitable, he planned to give up the captain's position. Knight Sorrow saw the soldiers of the First Army in front of the gate facing the Nirvana Ocean Bridge in Sky Desolation City. Noticing Knight Sorrow's arrival, the soldiers of the First Army tapped their chest armor with their left hand. What should I say? I don't know. Knight Sorrow smiled at his brothers of the First Army. Actually, there's nothing to say. It's enough that the captain is back. Swadong said. Knight Sorrow nodded. Swadong, you're doing well now. The First Army will be fine under your leadership. Captain, don't think like that. It's impossible. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Swadong was a little anxious because it meant that Knight Sorrow would leave the First Army. I'm probably the most irresponsible captain of the First Army in history. I've been with you for only 2 years and then I've been running away for 700 years. Knight Sorrow said apologetically. Although the captain is not here, the things he left behind are still here. The combined attack formation makes the First Army more powerful. Never abandon any of our brothers is the captain's philosophy. We've fought several times over the years and returned unscathed every time. Swadong said. It's good that you're all here. By the way, has anyone tried to rob us over the years? I don't know what I can do for the First Army. I can only fight back if anyone tries to rob us. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Haha. Once, but Long Jin and Tianyu fought back and solved the problem directly. Swadong said. Okay. I'm not an obedient person. There may be a fight at any time. Knight Sorrow said. The First Army is the least afraid of fighting. By the way, what's your title? White Meng Meng looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Chapter 1966. Yi Shan realized that many people cared about his title. They were curious about what his title was. They cared more about it than he did himself. Captain, it's the Black Lotus of Destruction. Since the Black Lotus of Destruction has appeared, the corresponding title must be extremely domineering. Many people also say that you are the human emperor of Samsara, White Meng Meng said. I almost died in there last time, and I didn't complete the certification. What's the point of a title? Let's talk about it later. Knight Sorrow said helplessly. Then they returned to the encampment of the First Army. Captain, can you watch your battle memory crystal ball now? Bai Xiaoyu asked anxiously when they arrived at the encampment. Is it meaningful to watch the battle of the Imperial level? If I remember correctly, you are still in the reserve team, right? Knight Sorrow looked at Bai Xiaoyu. We are almost the same now, but it doesn't make sense for us to be in the reserve team all the time. Thinking of this, Bai Xiaoyu was conflicted. Not only was Bai Xiaoyu conflicted, but the 30 people in the reserve team were also conflicted. They were no different from an official team now, but they were still a reserve team. They couldn't remove the title. It was useless for Bai Xiaoyu and the others to turn to Swadong and the Patriarch of the 100 Tribes because Knight Sorrow was the leader of the First Army. That was to say, if Knight Sorrow didn't say anything, they would either leave or stay in the reserve team. Swadong, can they do it? Knight Sorrow looked at Swadong and asked. They can do it, but it's annoying that they keep complaining about it, Swadong said. They can't do it without a good attitude. By the way, which territory did you fight for the territory last time? Knight Sorrow asked. The 8th Army. Swadong didn't understand why Knight Sorrow asked this. He had just told him that Long Jin and Tianyu had gotten back their territory. If you don't want to be a reserve team, fine. Put the flag of the First Army in the 8th Army's martial arts practice field for 4 hours and you will be an official member. Otherwise, don't talk nonsense. Come to me when you do it. Swadong, follow them and make sure they don't get killed, Knight Sorrow said and left the First Army. The captain is still very concerned about you guys. He's afraid that you guys will be beaten to death and turned into sh*t, Bai Lingling and the others said with a smile as they looked at the 30 members of the reserve team. It's really troublesome to lead a group of reserve members. I'm your team leader. Let me know when you plan to attack and occupy the 8th Army. Tiger Cold shook his head. What time? Do you dare to go now? Bai Xiaoyu looked at the 30 over people beside him and shouted. The reserve members were very angry. They were not happy to be called reserve members for 700 years. They roared, and the 30 of them rushed towards the 8th Army. The other sergeants of the 1st Army followed behind because they couldn't really ignore it. Seeing the sergeants of the 1st Army rushing over, the sergeants of the 8th Army quickly gathered. Most, quickly on _B hashtag, didn't you fight once? Are you not done yet? The captain of the 8th Army said angrily. He regretted that he had provoked the 1st Army. I don't want to waste time talking to you. Brothers, we have to fight to get rid of the title of reserve members today. Are you ready? If you are, I'll put the flag. Bai Xiaoyu shouted to the reserve members. Let's fight. The 30 reserve members of the 1st Army shouted at the same time. Bai Xiaoyu put the flag of the 1st Army in the middle of the encampment of the 8th Army. That's right, it was in the middle. Then the 30 reserve members were divided into 3 teams. The first team will guard the flag. The second and the third team will fight. As long as you're alive, the flag of the 1st Army will not fall, Tiger Cold ordered. It was a battle of honor. The sergeants of the 8th Army wanted to keep their honor. If the flag of the 1st Army was put here, it would be a slap to the 8th Army's face. The reserve team of the 1st Army was also fighting for honor. They wanted to become real sergeants of the 1st Army. The battle was fierce. Both sides were fighting for real. Blood was flying around the flag, but they still restrained themselves. They tried to injure each other seriously instead of killing each other. We can't stand it if it goes on like this. They outnumber us. Flower without words said. But it's the captain's order. We can't fight unless they retreat and the 8th Army attacks us again, Swadong said. Let's inform the captain. These guys won't retreat. They'll get killed if it goes on like this, Bai Lingling said. No need. The captain must know about it. He'll come when it's time. Swadong shook his head. The battle was still going on. The ground was dyed red by the blood. Neither side retreated. The 30 reserve members of the 1st Army had changed their roles twice. They changed their roles to defend and attack. However, the greater the number difference, the greater the consumption. After an hour, more than half of the reserve team of the 1st Army had lost their fighting capacity. Only a few of them managed to hold on. They were badly beaten. At this time, Night Sorrow came. He looked at Swadong and the others and said, "This is not only a test for them, but also for you. If they can hold on for an hour, I'll consider them qualified. What about you? You won't abandon them or give up them? Brothers, let's fight. Crush them." Swadong shouted and rushed out. The other 10 squads of the 1st Army also moved. The past hour was really a torture for them. But they didn't join the battle because of Night Sorrow's order and the insistence of the reserve team. Now that Night Sorrow had given his order, they would certainly not stand by and watch. A single reserve team could hold on for an hour. Although they had paid a great price, the sergeants of the 1st Army could completely crush the 8th Army now. Everyone, stop. A man in silver armor appeared. Night Sorrow waved his hand and stopped the attack. I'm Chen Lu, the commander of the 8th Army, the 9th Army, and the 10th Army. It's not good to keep fighting like this. We can solve the problem. Chen Lu cupped one hand in the other before his chest and said to Night Sorrow. I asked them to put the flag of the 1st Army here for 4 hours. The 8th Army went to the encampment of the 1st Army and planned to occupy it. You have to pay the price for what you did. This is the rule. Night Sorrow glanced at Chen Lu and said. Okay, sergeants of the 8th Army, step back. Chen Lu didn't say anything else. He just waved his hand and asked the embarrassed sergeants of the 8th Army to step back. After all the sergeants of the 1st Army joined the battle, the 8th Army couldn't stop them. Being injured is an excuse for you to show your teeth. Stand still and look at the flag. If the flag falls down, go back to where you came from. And you, why are you standing still and watching your brothers fight? All of you, stand up straight and think carefully. Yi Shang helped the injured Bai Xiaoyu and the others up before turning to leave. The sergeants of the First Army and the sergeants of the Eighth Army looked at each other, but they didn't attack again. The sergeants of the Eighth Army were furious and knew that the First Army would leave if they stayed any longer. What a bunch of unlucky bastards. If we follow you, we will also be unlucky. Long Jean muttered because he still wanted to drink with Night Sorrow. Chapter 1967. After 4 hours, Zhuo Dong stood out and looked at the soldiers of the First Army, take the flag and return to camp. Soldiers of the Eighth Army, I'm sorry. If you want to fight back, the First Army is always ready. After the soldiers of the First Army left, Chen Lu started to scold them because he was very angry. This was very embarrassing. Not only did the Eighth Army lose face, but he also lost face. Commander, you have 3 armies under you. You can take that Night Sorrow and we can beat them. A soldier of the Eighth Army said. You still don't understand the situation. Chen Lu slapped the soldier. That Night Sorrow is now infinitely close to peak Emperor rank. His actual fighting strength is even stronger. If you want to fight, go ahead. After Chen Lu left, the soldiers of the Eighth Army also left because they knew they couldn't fight back. Even their commander wasn't a match for the captain. How could they fight? Long Jean and Tianyu followed the soldiers of the First Army back to camp and reminded everyone to be on guard. Then, they went to Night Sorrow's residence to drink with him. Night Sorrow's return immediately brought them excitement. The 2 of them were very happy. Those 30 people are not bad. Not to mention their strength, their courage and perseverance are not bad. After inviting Long Jean and Tianyu to sit down, Night Sorrow said. They just lack an identity. In other aspects, they aren't worse than the other teams. Long Jean nodded. Alliance Master, what do you plan to do next? Pu Luo took a sip of wine and asked. I will first solve the issue of the title and then cultivate in the Nirvana Ocean. You guys observe the situation in the Celestial Realm. Before Mo Tianji and the Black Dragons appear, there will be traces. They can't find Star Moon City so quickly. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and told them his plan. Okay, our Humanitarian League forces will pay attention to this. We will surround the area around Star Moon Lake. If there is any movement, we will know immediately. It won't be easy for them to sneak in. Lin Piaomiao nodded. Unless she doesn't come out and we catch her, we will kill her. Pu Luo said. Let's drink. 700 years of suffering feels like 70,000 years to me. Night Sorrow said. The pain and helplessness in the dark space had tortured him for too long. After drinking and resting, Yishang left the mansion and stood on the city wall of Heavenly Desolate City, looking at Heavenly Desolate. What are you thinking? Lu Qi appeared beside Night Sorrow. That's our celestial realm. Heaven Wasteland, Night Side. Lu Qi thought for a moment before saying, it seems that your experience has affected you somewhat. The Black Lotus of Destruction comes from the Heaven Wasteland domain. What right does the origin of the Heaven Wasteland domain have to kill the people of the Heaven domain? This in itself is contempt. Do you think you can dominate the world? Yishang's eyes flashed in the dark night. We celestial realm beings have been fighting for several reincarnations. We never admit defeat. If outsiders want to occupy the celestial realm, then we have the courage to fight to the end. Don't have a bad impression of the celestial realm because of the black dragons and the flying serpents. Other than these 2, the other races are all fighting. Lu Qi said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was aware of these things. After chatting with Lu Qi for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the residence to rest for the night. At dawn, Night Sorrow changed into a clean robe and went to the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He was here to see the celestial realm's origin and to get a title. He had to go all the way. Night Sorrow had never given up halfway. He had never done so before and would never do so in the future. Night Sorrow arrived. When the guards didn't know whether to stop him or not, a beam of energy appeared and wrapped Night Sorrow into the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The lord of the heaven wasteland city, who was about to come out to receive Night's sorrow, was stunned for a moment. He knew that the celestial realm's origin had brought Night's sorrow into the heaven wasteland tower. In the heaven wasteland tower, Night's sorrow saw a man. His aura was much stronger than that of the origin of the world of reincarnation, the black-yellow world, and the Shinwu world, but he seemed to be in his twilight years. You should know who I am. Are you going to continue to get a title? The origin of the celestial realm pointed at the golden futon in the space. Yes, I can't give up halfway. Night's sorrow nodded. Aren't you afraid of another change? The origin of the celestial realm sized up Night's sorrow with eyes that could see through everything. I am. But there are some things that I have to do. Night's sorrow sat on the futon. Let's talk first. There are some problems in the celestial realm that need to be solved, and the opportunity to solve them lies with you. The origin of the celestial realm flicked his robe and sat down. First tick then, the origin of the celestial realm didn't care about Night's sorrow's answer and told Night's sorrow some things. The celestial realm had existed for too long and had gone through many reincarnations. Every reincarnation would have a tribulation, and it was the same for countless reincarnations. In the previous reincarnations of the celestial realm, there were human sovereigns, but because the celestial realm was in its twilight years, it didn't have enough luck to produce human sovereigns. They were all sunset sons. Night's sorrow wasn't born in the celestial realm, but in the new 9 domains world, so he was different from the previous human sovereigns. He was the rising sun. Because the celestial realm was large and had a strong spatial barrier, it was no longer in danger of being destroyed, but the origin of the world had a tribulation. The last reincarnation was actually the tribulation of the celestial realm's origin. Because some opportunities to deal with the tribulation didn't appear, he persisted until this reincarnation. What can I do? Night's sorrow didn't answer. Don't worry, listen to me. Supreme worlds like the deserted world and the celestial realm have a lifespan of 1,000 reincarnations. The deserted world is the heaven wasteland world that you speak of. The birth of a supreme world is accompanied by the fall of a supreme world. Although the supreme world won't be destroyed, the origin will fall. After the fall of the deserted world's origin, I will be promoted to the supreme origin level. After I fall, the next supreme world will be born, and the next supreme world will be the 9 domains world. Do you understand? The origin of the celestial realm looked at Night's sorrow and threw out shocking news. That's not right. The deserted world's origin has fallen. How can it still be so strong? How can there be demon wings race? Night's sorrow asked. He knew that a world without an origin was not suitable for cultivation. After the fall of the deserted world's origin, evil chi of heaven and earth origin entered the deserted world. That's why the deserted world became what it is now. For example, after I disappear, the celestial realm won't be destroyed. It's possible that evil chi of heaven and earth origin will enter, the origin of the celestial realm said. Chapter 1968. I appreciate your honesty. The rise of the 9 zones world is unstoppable. You don't have to worry about that. If I wanted to do something, would the 9 regions' origins have returned with you unscathed the last time you were injured? What I'm worried about is that there's already an evil deserted world. If an evil celestial realm appears in the future, the 9 zones world will be in for a lot of trouble. The celestial realm origin looked at Night's sorrow and shook its head. What do you need me to do? Night's sorrow asked. If you're still alive when this reincarnation cycle ends, bring the 9 zones world origin to the celestial realm and guard it for a while. My original body will reincarnate. If my original body returns, the celestial realm will still be the celestial realm. But don't worry, my original body after reincarnating will be very weak. I won't be able to stop the rise of the 9 zones world. In return, I'll protect your chaotic realm and the other 3 worlds from being destroyed during this reincarnation cycle, the celestial realm origin said. I, Night's sorrow, promise you that. Night's sorrow agreed quickly because the 9 zones origin had communicated with him. That's enough. I checked your body last time, but I'm not done yet. I'll have to do it again. After the celestial realm origin finished speaking, the futon emitted a golden light again. The golden light seeped into Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow didn't stop it. The energy in his body operated on its own. After a while, the golden light that had checked Night Sorrow's body disappeared. Everything returned to normal. I'm ready. I can proceed to the next step. Night Sorrow said. There's no next step because it's meaningless. I've checked your situation. Your immortality potential is confirmed. Your reincarnation attribute is confirmed. Your origin is confirmed. Your human sovereign is confirmed. Next, there are several titles for you to choose from. Immortal Human Sovereign, Reincarnation Human Sovereign, and Origin Human Sovereign. In fact, you can choose any title you want, but you have the origin of other worlds in your body. It's better to be close to your previous title, the Celestial Realm Origin said. My previous title was Immortal. As for Human Sovereign, forget it. I'll just do my own thing. It doesn't matter if I'm a human sovereign or not. I can't be too ostentatious, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Okay, then you'll be immortal. If you can survive the godly tribulation, you'll be a real divine sovereign. As the celestial realm origin, the words, Divine Immortal Human Sovereign. All the members of the heavenly wasteland city were watching. More, new caret y fastest equals faster you, up d, Pu Luo, what does this title mean? Ruiz put his hand on Pu Luo's shoulder and asked. Only after surviving the godly tribulation can one be immortal and called a god. The title of Divine Sovereign means that the leader has the potential to survive the godly tribulation and has the chance to reach the level that no one has ever reached, Pu Luo said. Universe Master, the title of Divine Sovereign is too ostentatious. Let's not use it. When I go out, people will look at me strangely. Night Sorrow naturally noticed the 4 words in the sky. This is my decision, and it's also in line with the way of heaven. If you don't want to be ostentatious, then enter the body first and then enter the body later. It's up to you how to explain it when you go out. The celestial realm origin closed its eyes. At this time, 2 of the 4 words in the sky jumped into the heaven wasteland tower. It was Divine Sovereign. After a while, the 2 words, Immortal Human Sovereign, jumped again and entered the heaven wasteland tower. Why not Human Sovereign? Grand Elder, who had also arrived outside the heaven wasteland tower, looked at the city master and asked. Human Sovereign doesn't need a title to prove it. Night Sorrow is a person who doesn't like to be ostentatious. He has many choices of titles, so he chose the one that suits him best. I guess he didn't want to accept the title of Divine Sovereign, so he took it back first, the city master said. Night Sorrow felt the mark of the origin of the world in his body. He cupped his hands at the origin of the celestial realm, then pushed open the door of the authentication space and walked out. Congratulations on obtaining an unprecedented title. Grand Elder's face was full of smiles. He was very happy because Night Sorrow was the future of the human tribe. It was no secret that Night Sorrow was the deluxe merit emperor. So as long as Night Sorrow grew, the rise of the human tribe and the 100 Tribes Alliance would not be a problem. They would not be at a disadvantage against the Heaven Wasteland Demon-Winged clan. I was just lucky to be recognized by the origin of the celestial realm as having some potential, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After chatting with everyone for a while, Night Sorrow left. It was just an authentication, so he didn't really care. Whether it was good or not was not decided by others. He had to do it himself. Pu Luo, Great Demon King, Lin Piaomiao, and the others were very happy because Immortal was a title that had never been given before. In the celestial realm, there were all kinds of emperors, martial emperors, battle emperors, fist emperors, and blade emperors. However, no one had ever been given a title that included God. Back in the mansion, Night Sorrow and the others made tea and chatted about Night Sorrow's authentication. Of course, there were some things that Night Sorrow did not mention, because it would cause unnecessary disturbances. I don't understand. You're the deluxe merit emperor, which is the same as the previous human sovereign. Why aren't you the human sovereign? Yu Zhu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I didn't ask for it. So what if I'm the human sovereign? It's enough to do my own thing. It's not good to spread rumors. Keep a low profile and do things in a high profile way, Night Sorrow explained. So you didn't ask for it. However, the human sovereign is undeniable. I understand. Yu Zhu nodded. Then why did the title of the divine sovereign go back first? Reese also had a lot of questions. I also felt that it was too ostentatious, so I wanted to cancel it. However, the origin of the celestial realm cooperated with me to take back the title. Night Sorrow smiled. It was not important, so there was nothing that he couldn't say. The city lord, King Yowu, the great elder, and Lu Qi also had a lot of questions to ask when they arrived at the city lord's cultivation space. When they entered the space, before they could even talk, the Heaven Realm's origin body appeared. Greetings, Universe Master. The mayor and the others bowed to the origin of the celestial realm. I'm here today to tell you something. Night Sorrow's title should have had the title of human sovereign, but he didn't want it because he didn't want to be ostentatious. In addition, his body contains 2 forbidden attributes. You know what that means. You were born in the celestial realm. Because the fate of the celestial realm is not clear, your luck is not good. However, Night Sorrow is different. He comes from a new world. He's the rising sun and the hope of the future. As for the future of the celestial realm, it's not important to Night Sorrow. If the celestial realm can't handle it, he'll return to his world and be the supreme realm master. You're the ones who will be stunned, the origin of the celestial realm said. If the celestial realm is gone, then how can the realm of chaos be stable? Lu Qi asked, confused. Don't interrupt. The 9 realms world is the prototype of the supreme realm. The origin of the celestial realm glared at Lu Qi. Chapter 1969. Lu Qi didn't say anything. He couldn't offend the dignity of the celestial realm's origin. In other words, even if all the worlds are destroyed and fallen, the 9 realms are still stable. So, he's not fighting for himself, but for the human race and the 100 races. As for the title of human emperor, you know that he doesn't care about it. He doesn't care about the title of divine emperor either. He's the best at being selfless, the celestial realm's origin said. That means that the celestial realm owes him, King Yowu said. You all know what to do. We've reached a consensus, but a consensus is still a consensus. It's easy to change. Some of the pests of the celestial realm can't be protected. He can kill them if he wants, but we can't make him unhappy, the celestial realm's origin said and left. The city lord and the others looked at each other. Some things were beyond their understanding. What did the celestial realm's origin mean? It meant that Night Sorrow couldn't be offended. If something happened in the celestial realm, Night Sorrow could just leave. The unlucky ones were the local cultivators of the celestial realm who couldn't leave. In the end, it made it clear that Night Sorrow could kill whoever he wanted, and there was no need to protect or make Night Sorrow unhappy. This guy doesn't even want the title of human emperor. What does he want? Lu Qi said with some hesitation. He's the deluxe merit emperor. He's always been a righteous man. So, the fame that others can only dream of is a shackle to him, the city lord said. I've seen many cultivators in the past. The human race, the 100 races, and even the demon-winged clan, I don't think anyone is more difficult to deal with than him. The Grand Elder shook his head. Not really. Night Sorrow has a good heart. Treating him with sincerity is the best way. Maybe he knows some things better than we do. He's the Realm Lord, and the Realm Lord of the embryonic form of the sovereign world. So, don't scheme. Just do what needs to be done, King Yowu said. Yowu, you're right. We need to be more sincere. However, apart from the banishment last time, we didn't do anything to upset him. The mayor smiled. Knight Sorrow's mansion. After chatting for a while, Knight Sorrow stood up. Next, his body trembled and a doppelganger appeared. When the Celestial Realm's origin investigated Knight Sorrow's body, some of the energy was absorbed by Knight Sorrow's doppelganger. The doppelganger recovered for a while and was fine. This is good. While the main body cultivates, the clone can also handle some matters. Knight Sorrow was very happy. With the Avatar awakening, it could be said that the negative damage caused by the Black Lotus of Destruction had completely disappeared, leaving only benefits. Knight Sorrow's doppelganger had awakened. The other members of the Humanitarian League were also very happy. What did a doppelganger mean? It meant one more life. During a battle, the existence of a clone could avoid many risks, even the risk of death. Of course, the Emperor's Tribulation and Emperor's Tribulation could only be withstood by the true body. Very good. Now, the Black Lotus of Destruction's influence on you is completely gone, Pu Luo said with a smile. Knight Sorrow, after waking up, your wives are still as beautiful as flowers. They're all the undying king and your son has become an emperor. How does it feel? Yu Zhu asked with a smile. It's indescribable. You guys don't understand a life without memories. I know it's home, I know it's my wife, but I still feel that something is wrong, Knight Sorrow said. Without experiencing it, you have no right to speak. Fortunately, you've recovered everything, the great demon king said. Then, Knight Sorrow told everyone his decision. His main body would cultivate in Tianhuang City while his doppelganger would go to the Ethereal Dynasty. In the future, the focus of our Humanitarian League will be on the Ethereal Dynasty. It will become another center of chaos outside of Tianhuang City, the Great Demon King said. The Great Demon King is right. The entrance to the Nine Zones world is in the Ethereal Dynasty. The Nine Zones world is a key point in the battle between Tianhuang and the Celestial Realm. In addition, Mo Tianji's main body is in the Nine Zones world. Attacking the Nine Zones world should be one of the Demon Wing's main plans, Knight Sorrow analyzed after the Great Demon King's words. Then it's settled. Your Night Moon Villa will be our stronghold. Also, Night Moon Villa can't be the same teleportation formation from Night Moon Villa to Night Moon City. This way, even if the teleportation formation is destroyed by a sneak attack, we can fight at any time and won't be caught off guard, Pu Luo said. Okay, I'll take care of it. Later, I'll invite you to my house to be my guests. I'll show you a different culture, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Finally, I've been waiting for your invitation. It's not easy, Yu Zhu said happily. Many people knew about the Nine Zones world, not to mention the few people from the Humanitarian League. However, it was difficult to go to the Nine Zones world. Unless Knight Sorrow invited or agreed to it, no one could go. Currently, the only people from the Celestial Realm who could go were those from the Ethereal Dynasty. How should I put it? It's not that I don't trust anyone, but I can't gamble with the lives of the Nine Zones world. If an expert with evil intentions goes there, I won't be able to defeat him. The Nine Zones world will fall. It's too big of a deal, Knight Sorrow said. So you're saying that if we go to the Nine Zones world to cause trouble, you'll be able to deal with us? Fen Tian asked. Let's not talk about the Celestial Realm. In the Nine Zones world, I'm the Realm Master. I can use the origin of the Nine Zones world and control the energy of the Nine Zones world. You know what I mean, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. In the past, you didn't allow anyone to go. In the future, if you want someone to go, they have to be brave enough to go. If you don't like them, you'll kill them. You're the boss of your territory. Yu Zhu said. So, are you going? Knight Sorrow asked with a smile. Of course, why wouldn't I go? You're the virtuous monarch. We'll be afraid of anyone but you. Yu Zhu glanced at Knight Sorrow. The virtuous monarch was blessed by the heavenly law. It was also a guarantee to others because the virtuous monarch wouldn't do anything that went against his morals. Then, let's go and see the legendary Nine Zones world. The great demon king stood up. He was also interested. He had a realm under his command. He was the realm master, but he wasn't the realm master. After the few of them stood up, they went to the teleportation array and started the teleportation. However, it was Night Sorrow's doppelganger that led them. His original body stayed behind to cultivate. After arriving at the Ethereal Empire's Night Moon Villa, Night Sorrow set up another teleportation array. The teleportation array was connected to the teleportation array in the Ethereal Empire's Imperial City and then to Starmoon City. The new teleportation array was hidden. It was a backup strategic teleportation array. Alliance Master, I thought of something else. According to what you said, you're almost invincible in the Nine Zones world. Then, you can relax the defense of Starmoon City and let them enter the Nine Zones world. Then, you can lock them in and beat them up. How safe would that be? Yu Zhu said. I've thought about what you said, but I have a different idea. Night Sorrow shook his head. Chapter 1970. Night Sorrow then expressed his thoughts. Night Sorrow wanted to conquer the celestial realm and lead the nine-domain world to develop. Therefore, the living beings of the nine-domain world had no obligation to take risks with him, let alone bear the flames of war. Night Sorrow didn't want the nine-domain world to bear any war. Understood. We can understand your thoughts. The nine-domain world is your root. Naturally, you can't let others invade it so easily. We will fight with the demon-winged clan in Starmoon City. Of course, the prerequisite is that they dare to come, Pu Luo said. After listening to Night Sorrow's explanation, not only Pu Luo, but everyone else could understand. Night Sorrow then led the group to the Twilight Tea House for tea. This was a must for everyone in the Ethereal Dynasty. The Twilight Tea House was very famous. Many cultivators far away from the Ethereal Dynasty would come to the Twilight Tea House at least once. It could be said that the Twilight Tea House was a signature of the celestial realm. It was the pinnacle of the tea ceremony. I love tea. I haven't paid the bill yet. Come, bring me good tea and snacks, the great demon king shouted after entering the Twilight Tea House. It was inappropriate, but this was the great demon king's character. How tasteless. Shame on you. A cold snort came from a private room. The great demon king was stunned. He didn't say anything and followed Night Sorrow and the others into the admiring moon pavilion. How could he say anything? That voice belonged to the Grand Elder. The great demon king didn't have to give any face to the other elders, including the law enforcement elders. However, he had to give face to the Grand Elder. Don't say that you love tea and don't pay the bill. If you walk too much at night, you will meet ghosts, Ruiz said after sitting down. You said it well. The Grand Elder's voice came again. Ruiz was dumbfounded. After hearing the Grand Elder's words, he realized how inappropriate his words were. Meet ghosts? Who was the ghost? Alliance Master, bring some refreshments. I'll go apologize. Reese wanted to slap his own mouth. He couldn't control his mouth, and at such a critical moment, he blurted out everything. Night Sorrow nodded. Then, he asked for tea and refreshments to be served. He then led the group to the private room where the Grand Elder was. Night Sorrow put down the refreshments and nodded at the Grand Elder and King Yawu. This time, it was the Grand Elder and King Yawu. The tea here is indeed very good. There is no other tea shop in the celestial realm. The signboard at the door is well deserved. King Yawu looked at the bright moon in the sky and nodded. What he meant was that the celestial realm was full of bright moons. Only the twilight moon was different. If Uncle Master likes it, you can come here anytime. It's also convenient to have a teleportation array, Night Sorrow said. Is it convenient? I don't think so. The two of us had to wait in line for half a day, and in the end, we had to use spirit stones to exchange numbers with the people in front of us to get a seat. It's not like you bandits entering the village. The Great Elder glanced at the Great Demon Lord and Ruisi. Grand Elder, don't be angry. I have a VIP card. I'll give it to the Grand Elder. Ruiz quickly took out his VIP card and handed it to the Grand Elder. He had the potential to be a bootlicker. At least you understand. I won't argue with you. After the Grand Elder took the VIP card, he glanced at Night Sorrow again. Uncle Master, this is yours. Night Sorrow pushed a VIP card to King Yawu. Uncle Master, take it. I have a good nephew. I don't need to learn from others to blackmail him. King Yawu glanced at the Grand Elder and took the VIP card. Yawu, you're wrong. He respects me. Is there a problem with giving him a VIP card? Okay, you guys go and drink your tea. The Grand Elder began to drive them away. Night Sorrow and the others quickly left. At this time, the Grand Elder did not want to see them. What's wrong today? You talk too fast. Ruiz was still a little depressed. N%CIJ version 6 of GJ version, huh? In a while, I'll ask Sworn Brother for a few more VIP cards. Yi Shan smiled. After they drank tea, Night Sorrow took a few more VIP cards from Chin Chen before leaving the Twilight Tea House. Night Sorrow took them to the teleportation array to Xingyue City. They checked the defense, communicated with Lu Qi, and then went to the 9 Domains world. Phew! The air is so fresh. After exiting the teleportation array, Pu Luo exhaled and said, This is my hometown. How does it feel? Does it not feel oppressive? Night Sorrow looked at them and said with a smile. It feels like a new life. It's very clear. The celestial realm can't compare. Yu Zhu looked very excited. Then you guys go around and come back here tomorrow at this time. Also, don't cause trouble. Night Sorrow added seriously. Don't worry. If someone spits on my face, I won't even wipe it. It will dry naturally. After saying that, Ruiz ran away. He's a little silly. There's a teleportation array here. Yu Zhu smiled and went on the teleportation array. Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao took the teleportation array to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow stayed in Tianhuang City and thought for a while. He went to the base of the First Army to see Long Jin and Tianyu. He planned to take care of some things before he went into seclusion. Captain, you didn't leave with the Humanitarian League? Long Jin asked. No. I plan to go to the Nirvana Ocean to cultivate later. If I can improve, my strength will increase. But before that, there are some things I need to take care of. Night Sorrow said. 13th brother, just say the word and we'll take care of it. There's no need to delay your cultivation. Tianyu said. Your matter? I've been sleeping here for 700 years. Have you made any progress? Night Sorrow asked. It's good. I went back to the 9 Domain world and saw her a few times, but I didn't say much. I was a little embarrassed. Tianyu said embarrassedly. I can only go into seclusion after this matter is taken care of. Night Sorrow said. 13th brother, help me ask around. If it's okay, I'll go and ask for her hand in marriage. Tianyu hesitated and said. I have to hand it to you. All right. I'll help you ask around. Night Sorrow nodded. He had to pay attention to Tianyu's matter. Night Sorrow's clone returned to Sky City and went to see his parents. After asking around, he went to Night Moon City. He wanted to see Yi Nianxiao, the current ruler of the Night Moon dynasty. The person Tianyu was thinking about was Yi Nianxiao. This was something that Night Sorrow had analyzed a long time ago. Tianyu liked her and they were familiar with each other. Only Yi Nianxiao and Yi Mei fit the bill. If it was Yi Mei, Tianyu wouldn't be so conflicted. He would have done what he needed to do. Therefore, the only one left was Yi Nianxiao. She was also the person who wouldn't be suitable for the child to call him godfather in the future. In the palace on night moon, Night Sorrow saw Yi Nianxiao, who was holding her chin and thinking about something. Nianxiao, what are you thinking about? What if an enemy comes? Night Sorrow greeted her. Brother. Why would an enemy come to the palace on night moon? Yi Nianxiao was pleasantly surprised to see Night Sorrow. She quickly walked over and grabbed Night Sorrow's arm. Chapter 1971. Nianxiao, look at you. The Empress of Night Moon is still acting like a child. Night Sorrow pinched his sister's nose. In front of Big Brother, I'll always be a child. If anyone bullies me, I'll look for Big Brother. Yi Nianxiao pulled Night Sorrow over to the throne of the Night Moon dynasty and massaged his shoulders. In the past, the Yi clan had always been known as the Night Moon dynasty. But a long time ago, both the Nine Regions world and the Primal Chaos realm called it the Night Moon dynasty. If Night Moon didn't have the qualifications to be called a dynasty, then no power in the Primal Chaos realm had the qualifications to be called a dynasty. If you can leave the matters here to others, then leave them to others. If you have nothing to do, go home more often. Who would dare to cause trouble? Night Sorrow smiled. I know. No matter who you give the Night Moon dynasty to, no one would dare to take it. I just don't want to go home and have to report to everyone. I can't bring the matters outside home, said Yi Nianxiao. Night Sorrow turned to his sister and asked, You're right. I came here today because of some matters. I've been sleeping for 700 years, and the family has always been very oppressive. Shouldn't there be some good news to change things? Big Brother, don't tell me you've taken a fancy to some girl after waking up. That won't do. That would be letting down my sisters-in-law, said Yi Nianxiao somewhat anxiously. Little girl, what are you thinking about? I'm talking about you. What's going on between you and Tianyu? If you don't give him an answer, he won't be able to ask for your hand in marriage, said Night Sorrow directly. Big Brother, you know. But that stupid bird didn't ask. What should I say? It's not like the girls of our Yi clan can't get married. Yi Nianxiao's face reddened. Stupid bird, you're right. He asked Big Brother to ask. Now that Big Brother understands, there's no need to ask. But Big Brother can't bear to see you marry off to the Azure Ping race. If you suffer, Big Brother won't know, said Night Sorrow. Big Brother, Tianyu won't do that. We should know him. He's very responsible. Yi Nian smiled and spoke up for Tianyu. It's not that I don't trust Tianyu. He's my brother. We grew up together. How can I not trust him? I don't believe the Green Rock race. Tianyu has been bullied before, so I'll talk to the Green Rock race about this. You can't be careless about your happiness. Night Sorrow stood up and said. Brother, it's Nian Zhao's greatest happiness to have a brother like you in this life. Yi Nian smiled until her eyes turned red. She knew that for her happiness, Night Sorrow was willing to do anything. Take care of your business and head home early. Night Sorrow patted Yi Nianxiao on the shoulder, then left Night Moon's lounge. Looking at Night Sorrow's back, Yi Nianxiao wanted to cry. Because her brother hadn't been around for 700 years, she had felt very helpless. She felt like she had lost her backing, and now she was once again that Yi Nianxiao who had the strongest brother. What's wrong? Do you feel a little emotional? Yi Xinyu appeared in the lounge. Great Aunt is here. Yi Nianxiao wiped the corner of her eyes. Yes, you're Night Moon's emperor. How can you cry like a little girl? But your brother is right. You can't get married and suffer. We'll feel bad for you. Yi Xinyu stroked Yi Nianxiao's hair. She had been listening the whole time, but she didn't disturb them. Permanently exempt from paying for sex? Look at this. Say. Nianxiao also doesn't want to get married. Yi Nianxiao wiped her face and smiled. You're Night Moon's emperor. Naturally, you can't be like an ordinary girl. Besides, your brother is Night Sorrow. Haha. Yi Shinyu smiled. Night Sorrow's clone returned to the city in the sky to accompany his family, while his main body discussed this matter with Tianyu. Tianyu, I've asked. It's not impossible. We're brothers, but there are some things that have to be made clear. Don't you think so, Long Jin? Night Sorrow sat down beside Long Jin. He wanted to find an ally to deal with Tianyu. Captain, don't worry. I support you. If you want to get a wife, you have to have an attitude. Long Jin directly expressed his support for Night Sorrow. All right. Long Jin, you're not being honest. Brother 13, just say it and I'll do it. Tianyu nodded. Tianyu, you're my brother. Nianxiao is my only sister. I care about your happiness, but I don't believe in the Azure Rock race. So, don't think that you can marry Nianxiao into the Azure Rock race. It's impossible. Night Sorrow explained his point of view. I'm not saying that the Azure Rock race's young master has to marry into the Yi clan. That means that there's no such thing as marrying into the Yi clan. It's just a normal marriage. Don't pin the broken rules of the Azure Rock race on our Nianxiao. Brother 13, I understand. Actually, I also have these thoughts. As long as Nianxiao is willing, I'm willing to do anything. If grandfather and the old ancestor don't agree, I'll be like father and run away without caring about anything. Brother 13, don't you think that my parents are powerful? After so many years, they don't care about their parents or their son. They just want to live their own lives. Tianyu shook his head. Tianyu, uncle and auntie won't be in any danger, right? Night Sorrow asked worriedly. I used to worry about that too, but I'm an idiot to worry about that. I'm worried that they'll be betrayed. Divination can tell that they're living like immortals. It's just that grandfather and the old ancestor can't determine their location and can't catch them. They've always been very careful. They know that my grandfather and grandfather won't let them off. Once they know where they are, they'll definitely catch them. Tianyu was a little annoyed because his parents were too irresponsible. Are you angry? There's no need at all. Why? Because they believe that with the Azure Rock race and the Xuanluan race around, you'll definitely be able to live well. Long Jin smiled. Yes, I think so too, so I forgive them. However, their way of thinking is pretty good. If the family forces me, I can totally imitate them. Tianyu looked at Night Sorrow and expressed his attitude. Then you can tell the family. But no matter what, I'll support you and Nianxiao. Back then, I took care of the Celestial Cliffs for you. I don't mind fighting the Azure Rock race again. Night Sorrow patted Tianyu's shoulder. Once this matter is settled, the Azure Rock race will have to consider going against the Deluxe Merit Emperor and the Human Emperor, right? Besides, they didn't let Tianyu marry into their family. Also, I have something that I need your help with in the future. Long Jin said. You're boring. We're brothers. Do you need to ask for help? Night Sorrow knocked Long Jin's shoulder. Tianyu is about to get married. I can't fall behind him. However, dragon language doesn't have any relatives. I'm worried that she'll feel uncomfortable. So, Captain, can you give her an identity in the Chaos Realm or the Nine Regions world? You two can become siblings or something. It'll be so honorable to be the Human Emperor's elder sister. Long Jin spoke his thoughts. Shameless. Tianyu muttered. None of your business. Long Jin glared at Tianyu. Elder sister? Long Jin, you're really good. However, who's elder and who's younger is decided by the heavens. You can't just make the decision. Night Sorrow was a little speechless. It seemed that Long Jin had already prepared a trap and was waiting for him to fall into it. Chapter 1972. In order to resolve the issue of dragon language, Night Sorrow's group of 3 didn't waste any time. They directly took a teleportation array to Ethereal Imperial City. Night Sorrow left the teleportation array and went to a gambling house. He threw down several Holy Spirit stones and took out a cup of sex. Brother 13, you're not going to use this to decide the size of dragon language, are you? Tianyu was dumbfounded. Today, I'll rely on this. I, Yi Shang, will believe in fate this time. Yi Shang nodded at Tianyu. When they arrived at the Night Moon Villa, Long Jin called out, and the god-slaying squad gathered. Night Sorrow's wives were also present. I'll tell you 2 things. The first is about Tianyu. He plans to propose to my little sister, dragon language. I support this, but there are some details that need to be discussed. The second thing is that Long Jin is anxious to see Tianyu get married, so he plans to propose to dragon language. However, everyone knows about dragon language's situation. Ever since she left the primal chaos region with us, she has no relatives. I don't want my brothers and sisters to have no relatives. Today, I, Night Sorrow, will be your relative. What do you think about dragon language? Night Sorrow looked at the assembled members of the god-slaying squad. Many thanks, Captain. Dragon language is willing. Dragon language nodded. Long Jin wants us to be brother and sister, but I'm not willing. Today, I'll use this to decide the size. Night Sorrow made a grabbing motion with his left hand, and a table by the side of the training field flew over. Next, Night Sorrow slammed the cup of sex on the table. You can do that? Liang Yu looked at Night Sorrow with some astonishment. Why not? Dragon language, what do you think? Night Sorrow smiled at dragon language. Of course. Dragon language turned her head and wiped the corners of her eyes. She knew that Night Sorrow had done a lot for her. Now, he was willing to do something for her. Whoever cheats is a dog. Yun Huang shouted. H6, do you think everyone is like you, Yun Huang? Just shake and slap to determine the size. Yi Shang glared at Yun Huang. I'll go first. Dragon language walked up to the table, shook his cup, and slammed it on the table. Following which, the very active Yun Huang stepped forward and opened it. 3, 2, 6. How silly. Liang Yu and the others laughed. What do you know? This is called good things come in pairs. Dragon language looked at Liang Yu and the others with dissatisfaction. It's my turn now. Dragon language. Are you the older sister or the younger sister? Let's see who's better. Night Sorrow shook his cup and slammed it on the table. Before Yi Shang could open it, Yun Huang had already opened it. 3 4s. Good things come in pairs. Not bad. Are you convinced by the dragon language? Night Sorrow slammed the table. We all lost. What's there to be convinced about? Dragon language greets elder brother. Dragon language bowed to Night Sorrow. Don't. Let's wait for a while. I suddenly realized that I'll become smaller in the future. Captain, can I fight for myself? Long Jin stood up. Because dragon language was a girl, he would have to call Night Sorrow elder brother in the future. I'm happy today. I'll give you a chance. Come on. Night Sorrow smiled. You're the captain. You go first. Long Jin made an inviting gesture to Night Sorrow. Watch me kill all. Night Sorrow shook his cup and slammed it on the table. Yun Huang opened it. This time, everyone laughed. One of the dice stood up without a da, while the other 2 were dots. Good things come in pairs, but this is a little too small. Night Sorrow was speechless. This was the prelude to a tragedy. Looking at Night Sorrow's 2 dots, everyone laughed. Getting 2 dots out of 3 was something that others couldn't do even if they wanted to. Ahaha. Watch me kill all. Long Jin laughed loudly and slammed the dice cup on the table. When Yun Huang opened the dice cup, Long Jean was dumbfounded because the result was even more tragic. He was too excited and forgot about his strength as the golden dragon. The force of the shaking was too great. 2 of the dice broke, leaving only 1 dot. All right. You'll still be the captain in the future. Long Jean was speechless as he slapped his hands together. A great opportunity was lost just like that. Dragon language, you haven't known me for a long time. But during the 700 years that I was unconscious, you and the brothers of the god-slaying team were together for 700 years. You're our family. Come, light the incense. Night Sorrow nodded to dragon language. The incense was lit. Night Sorrow and dragon language swore to the heavens and became sworn brothers. Then, the group of people began to drink. Ah Luo, you and Sister Xian, help take care of these matters. If the others have plans to start a family, we'll also help arrange it. Night Sorrow instructed Datura as they drank. After drinking, Night Sorrow left. He wanted to return to Tianhuang City to cultivate. With the matters at hand settled, he felt more at ease. Captain, you've thought of everything you should and shouldn't have. With such a captain, I have no regrets in this life. Qian Yu whispered. He just wants to see his brothers and sisters doing well. This is also his pursuit. Sikong Chuyu nodded. Tian Yu also left. He had to go back and tell his family about this matter. He was the only son of Azure Rock Patriarch Tian Yunsong, and the only young patriarch. Tian Yunsong and forefather Azure Rock were talking about Night Sorrow's title. In addition, the leaders of the 100 races of the celestial realm, including the patriarchs of the divine beast race, had received a joint letter from the Tianhuang City Lord, King Yawu, and Grand Elder confirming Night Sorrow's identity as the human emperor. Yunsong. The 2 words divine emperor are very frightening. Not to mention, it's also immortal. This means that he's qualified to reach the peak. With the forbidden attribute, this guy is absolutely ruthless. Ordinary Emperor Tribulation cultivators have no chance in front of him, forefather Azure Rock said. He dealt with our Azure Rock clan's celestial cliffs. Father, please don't take it to heart. Night Sorrow is still young. There's a lot of room for improvement in the future. His achievements are immeasurable. Tian Yunsong didn't want forefather Azure Rock to hold a grudge against Night Sorrow because of Celestial Cliffs. Celestial Cliffs is a bully at home, but a coward outside. So what if he's dealt with? He did it for our young patriarch. We should be happy that Tianyu has a brother like this. At the very least, who would dare bully him outside? Forefather Azure Rock didn't mind. Father, there's one more thing. The Black Phoenix Patriarch is saying that Tianyu has their blood in him. We can't fight, and there's no end to it, Tian Yunsong said, a little annoyed. Then what do we do? It's a fact that my grandson kidnapped someone else's daughter. Before Tianyu, they wouldn't have done this. Now that their descendant isn't outstanding, of course they'll target Tianyu. Later, I'll go talk to the Black Phoenix Patriarch. If that doesn't work, then I won't care anymore. If they can go ask Night Sorrow for him, why are they trying to be unreasonable with us? Forefather Azure Rock said. Then we'll listen to Father's arrangements. Tian Yunsong knew what to do. Chapter 1973. Tianyu scanned the area with his soul force, but didn't find Sang Yunshan. He returned to his residence, then kicked the table over. Sang Yunshan and Patriarch Azure Rock were in the clan's ancestral hall, isolated from prying eyes and divining. Bring him here. Something must have happened. If it's a small matter, they can deal with it on their own. It must be something big, Patriarch Azure Rock said to Sang Yunshan. Sang Yunshan left the ancestral hall and arrived at Tianyu's residence. Grandfather, where did you go? Tianyu glanced at Sang Yunshan. When there's nothing going on, you're always here, but when there's something going on, you're nowhere to be seen. Child, what are you talking about? I had something to discuss with the patriarch. When I saw you come back, I immediately came over. Go pay your respects to the patriarch. Sang Yunshan pulled Tianyu to the ancestral hall. Did something happen? Kicking a table is wrong. If anyone provokes you, you should kick them. Patriarch Azure Rock looked at Tianyu, a smile on his face. Tianyu was the most outstanding descendant of the Azure Rock clan. In the past, he hadn't been as good as the others because he lacked the time to cultivate. Grandfather, Patriarch, it's like this. I like a woman, but she won't marry me. Tianyu said. What kind of woman won't marry? Are you telling the junior patriarch of the Azure Rock clan to marry into her family? As soon as he heard Tianyu's words, Sang Yunshan grew frantic. If his son ran away and his grandson married into his family, there was no hope. She didn't tell me to marry into her family, Tianyu said. What my 13th brother means is that in the future, we'll live our own lives. Don't force the Azure Rock clan's rules on others. Your 13th brother? You have to listen to your 13th brother when it comes to getting a wife? Sang Yunshan's temper flared. In Tianyu's mind, his 13th brother's words were more important than his grandfather's. That's not it. Grandfather, don't be angry. I like my 13th brother's only sister, Yi Nianxiao. That's why my 13th brother has the final say in this matter, Tianyu explained. He knew that angering Sang Yunshan wouldn't end him. Yunshan, calm down. Azure Rock waved his hand, gesturing for him and Tianyu to take a seat. Once Tianyu's. Sang Yunshan and Sang Yunshan's father's words. And nights. Ask and night, s. P. So. E. 2. And T. Est T. T. That's reasonable. It's not excessive at all. Let's do as they say. It's your fortune to be able to obtain a woman from the Yi family, Patriarch Green Rock said with a smile after hearing Tianyu's words, E.S. He's Deluxe Gonda's only sister. What's so bad about that? Do you think Deluxe Gonda's family's upbringing is fake? He's worried about the child's surname. Can't you see Night Sorrow, S? Sang Yunshan. He doesn't want Tianyu or Nianxiao to be wronged. Sang Yunshan glared at his son. Sang Yunshan didn't say a word, but he was deep in thought. Tianyu, this is a good thing. The ancestor supports you. You're lucky to have a brother like him. Even in the Azure Rock clan, I don't think there's anyone who cares more about your life than he does. As your ancestor, I want you to live well, Sang Yunshan. Sang Yunshan nodded. Thank you, ancestor. Tianyu rose to his feet and bowed slightly to Sang Yunshan and Sang Yunshan. You're a good boy. Yunlan, come here. Sang Yunshan called into the air. A moment later, a middle-aged woman entered the hall. She bowed slightly to Sang Yunshan and Sang Yunshan, then smiled at Tianyu. Many of the elders of the Azure Rock clan like Tianyu. Tianyu greets the great aunt. Tianyu rose to his feet and bowed. Forefather Green Rock told the elder of the Green Rock clan, who was also his daughter, Tian Yunlan, the whole story. He told her to represent the Green Rock clan in proposing marriage to the Yi clan. He emphasized that the Yi clan would fulfill any of their requests. As for Tian Yunsang, he also went, but he was only there to accompany the guests. Father, so you're going as a guest? Sang Yunshan was a little depressed. Yes. You're not calm enough, but you must go. The patriarch's presence will make things official. Don't you know what the immortal God Emperor means? Did I talk to you for nothing? Sang Yunshan glared at Sang Yunshan. Night Sorrow's original body settled Long Jin and Tianyu's matters. He returned to Tianhuang's city. He didn't take the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. Instead, he tore open the array on the city wall and jumped into the Nirvana Ocean. After flying for a while, Night Sorrow reached the area where the Nirvana storm was more violent. He sank to the bottom of the Nirvana Ocean. Night Sorrow found that the Nirvana storm was a little weak. It wasn't suitable for him to cultivate. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow took out the Clear Sky God Pagoda and enlarged it. The Clear Sky God Pagoda continued to rise. When it was only a few dozen feet above the ocean, Night Sorrow felt it was enough. He landed at the top of the Clear Sky Pagoda and began to cultivate. He continued to comprehend the power of heaven and earth. After sleeping for 700 years, all of Night Sorrow's attributes were at the Emperor rank. Even the life attribute that he hadn't cultivated before was at the Emperor rank. Moreover, it was at the 2-star Emperor rank. Now, Night Sorrow planned to cultivate wholeheartedly. He wanted to break through the void, destruction, and space-time attributes. It would be even better if he could reach the peak Emperor rank. The scene of Night Sorrow entering the Nirvana Ocean naturally couldn't be hidden from the Tianhuang City Lord and the others. This little fella really has a fighting spirit. He actually entered the Nirvana Ocean to cultivate. No one has done this before. The Grand Elder lamented. Therefore, he hopes that he has a positive attitude. He didn't slack off just because he reached the 8-star Emperor rank. The Tianhuang City Lord looked in the direction of Night Sorrow's cultivation and said, "Time. What he needs now is time. He is about to enter the 9th era. In other words, there is still one era left. He must reach that height. Otherwise, he won't be able to pass the God-destroying calamity." King Yawu said. He was very worried about Night Sorrow. It's enough. What's his cultivation speed now? His lifespan is only close to 1,000 years. Because he is young, his fate and aura are very sufficient. He is advancing rapidly and is unstoppable. The Grand Elder said. He was very envious of Night Sorrow's youth. After living for 8 eras, they were all a little tired. Before this reincarnation cycle ends, if we can't pass it, we will fall. I hope to see him rise again. That would be enough for us. The Tianhuang City Lord said softly. The Green Rock Race's people are here. Patriarch and elders are together. Is something the matter? The Tianhuang City Lord looked in the direction of the teleportation array. Chapter 1974. After hearing Tian Yunlan's intentions, the Grand Elder smiled. I'm not the only one who can be a witness. These two are fine too. The human sovereign sister is getting married. This is a joyous occasion. Your Green Rock clan has profited greatly. Thank you, Grand Elder, for your support. With the City Lord and King Yawu here, I believe this will be a grand occasion. Tian Yunlan's face was full of smiles. Then, the group took the teleportation array and rushed towards the Ethereal Dynasty. When they arrived at the Ethereal Dynasty, Elder Lon in the City Lord's mansion knew. He quickly informed Lin Piaomiao and brought them to the VIP tower. After Lin Piaomiao received the news, she told Night Sorrow, who was drinking with the Humanitarian League. Night Sorrow's clone had been accompanying Pu Luo and the Great Demon King from the Humanitarian League. Yes. Look at the original version of Chapter A, Section DT, so many people came. Are they here to express their sincerity or to denounce me? Don't worry. I'll take them on. Night Sorrow finished the wine in his cup and stood up. Brother, don't get into a conflict with others. Yin Yanxiao, who had also returned home, was a little worried. Don't worry. If I can't make the decision for my sister, then there's no point in living. If anyone dares to suppress me on this matter, I dare to fight the world. Night Sorrow was a little angry. Then, the Humanitarian League group arrived at the Ethereal Dynasty. Night Sorrow told the Humanitarian League to stay in Yiyu Manor. He wanted to go to the Ethereal Dynasty's VIP tower to take a look. I'm not going. They're here to propose marriage. Do we have to go and pay them a visit? The Great Demon King was also a little angry. I'm not going to see the Green Rock clan. The City Lord, my martial uncle, and the Grand Elder are here. I have to go and pay them a visit. Night Sorrow said. Let's go together and see what's going on. Pu Luo said. Then, the group arrived at the Ethereal Dynasty's VIP tower. Seeing the arrival of Night Sorrow, the mayor, King Yowu, and the Grand Elder were all very happy. The mayor even cancelled the energy in his body and returned to the real body of Tran Hung, the writer of the Celestial Demon List. Looking at Night Sorrow's aura, King Yowu knew that Night Sorrow had misunderstood. Night Sorrow, it seems that you have some misunderstanding. Patriarch Qin Peng and Elder Yun Lan came to propose marriage. They felt that it wasn't grand enough, so they invited Martial Uncle, City Lord Chen, and Grand Elder to be witnesses. Lord Human Emperor, I am Tian Yunlan of the Green Rock Clan. I was entrusted by the ancestor to come to the Nine Regions world to propose marriage with the Patriarch. Because Yin Yanxiao is Lord Human Emperor's only sister, in order to make it grand, we invited the three of you to be witnesses. Tian Yunlan said. So that's how it is. I, Night Sorrow, have gauged the heart of a gentleman with my own yardstick. My apologies. Then, please move to Starmoon City. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the Green Rock Clan's people and nodded towards Tianyu. Tian Yunsang cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow in return. At this moment, he had a higher opinion of Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow was a person who was what he was. He had come in anger because of a misunderstanding. After speaking, he didn't try to cover up his embarrassment. He directly explained it in a straightforward manner. It wasn't shameful at all. After arriving at Starmoon City, Night Sorrow sent someone to inform his parents and Yin Yanxiao to come over. Now that they were here, the matter of marriage had to be discussed. Furthermore, knowing that the other party attached great importance to this matter and had even invited the three big shots of the 100 Races Alliance, Night Sorrow's attitude became a lot better. When others gave him face, he had to accept it. When face was returned, it had to be returned. Both sides had a good discussion because Night Sorrow's starting point was for the sake of Tianyu and Yin Yanxiao. He didn't make things difficult for them at all. Domain Lord Knight, after they get married, where would be suitable for them to live? We need to arrange it. How about Misty Imperial City? Tian Yunlan asked. Night Sorrow didn't accept the title of Human Emperor, so Tian Yunlan changed it to Domain Lord Knight. That's up to them. They can live wherever they want. I'll take care of the family business. I've spent some time in the celestial realm, so I have some family business. In truth, Tianyu is as important to me as my younger sister. You might not understand this, but Tianyu and I have known each other since we were in our teens. We've fought side by side, and we've fought countless life and death battles together. We're not blood brothers, but we're better than blood brothers. My children call him Uncle, Night Sorrow said. Tianyu stood up and walked over to Night Sorrow to hug Night Sorrow. We understand. We're truly happy for Tianyu. Tian Yunlan cupped her hands towards Night Sorrow. Domain Lord Knight, Sky Cloud, am a straightforward person. There are some things that I have to say. You can call me shameless, but I still have to ask. You can say whatever you want about Tianyu and Yin Yanxiao. I don't have any objections at all. But what will the child's surname be? He's the only heir of the Azure Rock Clan's patriarch's bloodline. Sky Cloud rose to his feet and looked at Night Sorrow. Big brother, Domain Lord Knight, please don't take offense. Tian Yunlan glanced at Tian Yunlan anxiously. It's fine. Azure Rock Clan leader, you're overthinking things. Night Sorrow admires your straightforwardness. I, Night Sorrow, am not an unreasonable person. Their child will be the child of your Azure Rock Clan. Naturally, the child will have the surname of your Azure Rock Clan. I'm just the child's uncle. Night Sorrow laughed as he helped Skycloud sit down. Many thanks. Skycloud clasped his hands towards Night Sorrow. He was truly grateful to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had thought of everything perfectly, and hadn't made things difficult for him. So you know you're shameless. Did you arrange Tianyu's marriage? Did you ask for my permission? An old man in white robes led a man into the hall. Emperor Tang and Lu Qi followed behind them. Grand Elder, the Black Phoenix clan leader is coming. Emperor Tang can't stop him. Emperor Tang spoke up. Lu Qi stood to one side, his posture guarded. It's fine. You two, sit down and drink some water. The Grand Elder nodded to Emperor Tang and Lu Qi. He knew things were going to be troublesome. Xian Jinggang, what are you trying to do? Once this is over, you can say whatever you want. Sky Cloud said. I'm trying to do something. The governor, Emperor Yowu, and Grand Elder are all here. Let's settle our differences. Is it true that your son kidnapped my only daughter? The Black Phoenix clan leader clasped his hands in greeting, then pointed a finger at Sky Cloud. It's been many years, so I won't argue with you. Let's be honest. You lost a daughter, and I lost my only son. He was the only heir to the Azure Rock clan. Now that my grandson has returned, you shouldn't cause any more trouble. Once this is over, I'll go to the Black Phoenix clan and apologize. Sky Cloud said. But why do you keep stopping me from seeing my grandson? The Black Phoenix clan leader asked. You keep trying to kidnap people. Who would dare let you see them? Sky Cloud explained. My daughter is missing. Can't I see my grandson? Let's be reasonable. Tian Yunlan pulled the Black Phoenix clan leader to a seat. How about this? You two families should stop bickering. Just take it that your two families are officially receiving a bride, and your son and daughter are not at home. Now that the child is at home, and the child is about to get married, the grandson should be the grandson, 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 the grandson should be the grandson. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.